Let's get nasty on a Tuesday. It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN with Andrew Marsh and Jamie Rivers. I'm Anthony Stalter. 2:01, your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Boy, a lot to get to today. A lot happening.
Yeah.
I thought, well, we'll talk about the Steelers and Texans. We'll dive into some Blues, Hurricanes tonight. Pregame at 5:30. Puck drop at 6:30. Maybe get into, I don't know, some of the other things that kind of transpired from Wild Card Weekend. Nope. Nolan Arenado traded.
Oh, wow.
Nolan
How do you feel
Arenado
doing
traded.
that now?
I think that might be the last time.
Will you miss it?
No. I think it had an okay run, and, we just move on with it.
I feel like it had a really strong start, but then over the last couple of seasons, really dipped.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird how that works.
It's interesting that you phrased it that way.
It went from no Arenado to no Arenado.
Yeah, it almost feel like it was kind of like, we have to do it.
Almost like we just got older and tired and couldn't do it as good.
Yeah, we weren't as effective with it. Mm-hmm. So, Nolan Arenado traded to the Arizona Diamondbacks. As Marsh put it in the office, Arenado is now a Diamondback.
Wow.
Which is kind of rough. In exchange, by the way, we will have Brad Thompson on at 3 o'clock to talk about Arenado and Brendan Donovan. There's some new reports saying that Donovan could be on the move very soon, although we've heard those reports before. We'll get into that here in a second. But when it comes to Arenado, the Cardinals acquired right-handed pitcher Jack Martinez. Jack Martinez was an 8th-round pick from the Diamondbacks. Posted a 5.47 ERA, 1.36 WHIP, and a 110 to 33 strikeout to walk ratio in 77 and a third innings at Arizona State. Tall pitcher, deceptive delivery, big upper 90s fastball. Like this is somebody that true 4-pitch mix, frame to hold up, all that stuff. The scouting report all sounds good.
Yeah.
The key here is that Chaim Bloom continues to add pitching, and he did something that, and this isn't a knock on Mo, because Arenado nixed the deal to Houston, but it was something that Bloom did something that Mo couldn't do a year ago.
Heimer gets it done, baby.
Heimer gets it done. He moves Nolan Arenado, and he did get something in return. And it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not expecting much from the return. I think they did pretty good here. They had to eat a lot of the cash. Arizona's only on the hook for $5 million this upcoming season and $6 million next year. So the Cardinals are going to absorb a lot of that money, which we expected. But as I've maintained, it makes no sense for the Cardinals to retain Arenado. We were getting some questions recently of, well, why not just keep him as a bench bat? It was never going to happen. I thought at worst they're going to have to DFA him
off the bench.
What's that?
What?
A glove guy off the bench?
I said, who'd want that bat off the bench?
It's a glove off the bench. How about that? But they did acquire a pitcher for him. I think they did pretty good here. This was a foregone conclusion. If it happened a year ago, maybe the deal would have been better. Who knows? Doesn't matter now.
He probably would have nixed it a year ago.
Maybe. Well, I did. Yeah, he literally did.
Yeah.
I just don't know what the offer was for Houston. Now, it actually may not have. Remember, I think Houston was going to pay the freight. And if that was the case, I don't think the Cardinals are going to get anything.
I think they're getting nothing back, but they were going to take on the contract.
Either way.
I think.
They move on. Makes sense. Everything that Bloom has done has fit in you can agree with them, agree with the moves, disagree with the moves. Some people are upset because it's like, well, we're in a rebuild. Yeah. That's what he's doing. He is rebuilding the Cardinals. He is tearing this thing down almost to the studs. He's clearing out the molds. He's not worried about repainting yet. It'll come. But right now, he needs to tear it down. He needs to fumigate. He needs to start over. That's what Bloom's doing. Everything that he has done to this point, it has been clear. 2 things. Get what you can for the assets that people want, and restock the pitching. And he's done both things.
Well, also, let's not forget that the 3 guys that he did move off of all had no trade clauses.
Sure.
Which is pretty impressive to, one, get at least one of those guys to agree to go somewhere. But to get all 3, I think he's doing a good job.
I do too. Jamie, your thoughts on the Nolan Arenado era?
On the era?
Yeah.
Overall, disappointment. I'll just say overall, like the whole thing. Now, did we get to see some really good baseball for a number of years? Yeah, we did. Mm-hmm. I poke fun now and in jest and whatnot, but this guy is an absolute stud. We talked to Ollie Marmol a couple weeks ago, and he said he's no doubt a Hall of Famer. He's no doubt one of the best third basemen I've ever seen play the game. Defensively, I don't know anybody who is better defensively. Maybe as good defensively. He was unbelievable. He played hard for the Cardinals. It just, for whatever reason, in the last couple of years, father time or maybe injuries or something started to affect him, and his offensive numbers took a nosedive. And unfortunately, 10 years from now, we'll be able to remember everything. But right now, in real time, all we remember is the decline of where he's currently at, and it doesn't look great. But overall, we got to see a lot of great things out of him.
Yeah, just disappointing for sure. I think the front part of his time here in St. Louis, those teams were, I'd say, pretty fun to watch. They had a chance to win a playoff round. They didn't get the job done. They had another chance in a wild card game. It just, I don't know, it just didn't work out. Didn't work out for him. Mm-hmm. And is that his fault? Well, maybe you could think he's partially to blame there. Is it the roster construction? I think I would fall into that category. He's not the only player on the diamond, but the back half of his time here in St. Louis just did not go his way. It didn't go our way. And so I think it was time to move on. I think everybody feels that way, felt that way. And I think what they did was the right move, and I'm glad they moved on from him. But I wish him nothing but the best in Arizona.
Yeah. Honestly, would love to see him recapture some of his form and have a better season offensively. I realize where the Diamondbacks are as far as the National League and whatnot, but I don't wish a guy like that any ill will.
Yeah, he was a total pro. I'll tell you a quick story. And Jamie, I don't think you were on the fast lane at that point when Arenado was acquired.
I don't. Was that when you abandoned me in midday?
No, I didn't abandon you.
You did. Tommy told me how it went down.
No, not
2021 was his first year.
Okay.
I can't remember.
I think it was me, BT, and Ron.
When was COVID?
2020.
So yeah, not yet.
Probably. That's when you did your thing. Yeah.
I did not do a thing. So we lined up Arenado to do an interview. And the times
I was on the fast lane.
You were?
Yeah. They get all screwed up and everything. We end up having to record it over there.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So we lined up Arenado. I think BT got with Matt Holliday. Matt Holliday reached out to Arenado for us. This was within days of him being acquired from the Cardinals. Agreed to do an interview with us, and we did it in one of the production studios because it wasn't going to be live. We were going to have to record it because of the time that worked for Arenado. The board and everything in the production studio got screwed up. I don't know if he couldn't hear us or we couldn't hear him or a little bit. It was a mess.
Toggled on you guys.
It toggled on us.
Sure did.
And for us, it's like, all right, it's out of our hands, but look, this is our fault. We got Arenado on the line here. We're trying to make this happen. He could not have been more gracious with his time, understanding of the situation. He even waited, 20 minutes or something like that for us to figure, get the mess figured out. Got an engineer in there, all that, and still gave us, 15, 20 minutes. And he was fantastic. Arenado's a true pro. He's a future Hall of Famer. When it comes to this Cardinals era, he and Goldschmidt were supposed to usher in a new era of Cardinal baseball. Mo made 2 outstanding deals, gave up virtually nothing. You would do it again in a heartbeat. And it didn't work out, in my opinion, because they stopped there.
Yeah.
Mo stopped there. He got those 2 pieces. It was what he was looking for. Then he figured, okay, we can add things here and there, but we're not gonna go overboard with it. And we're gonna raise the floor, and that's gonna be good enough. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't. And when Arenado and Goldschmidt didn't carry you in that Philadelphia series, you were screwed.
Right. Well,
Like, all your eggs were in that basket, basically. That's what. From an outsider perspective, that's what I feel happened. Is that on Goldschmidt and Arenado? No. It's a team sport.
Right. Yeah, you had 2 games essentially in that series.
2 games.
You didn't get a 7-game or even a 5-game series. You got a 3-game series, and who knows? Maybe if you get another game, all of a sudden things start to click. You're going up against 2 really good pitchers for Philly.
Right.
It just didn't work out.
The margin of error, if we look back on it, the margin of error for Goldschmidt and Arenado, that Cardinal era, was razor thin. And for that, I blame ownership and Mo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what the 636 chimed in and said. Disappointing for him as well. He came for a championship. I feel like the Cardinals let him down as much as he failed us.
He and Goldschmidt failed us in 2 games. They had MVP. Goldschmidt won the MVP, and Arenado was, third that year?
Yeah.
When it came to those 2 playoff games, the entire offense failed you. But again, the margin for error was so thin that it would have required Goldschmidt and Arenado to get red hot at that moment and carry you. You still didn't have the pitching. I don't think you had the bullpen and the closing situation to really feel great about winning anything more than a series. So that to me is as much about ownership and what the front office was doing as to just say, well, Goldschmidt and Arenado were disappointments.
In his tenure here in the playoffs, 1 for 12 in 3 games. That includes that Dodgers wild card game, which the Cardinals lost.
1 game.
1 game. So you get 3 games out of his entire tenure here in the postseason, 1 for 12. Mm-hmm. Scored a run.
It's disappointing. Those acquisitions also went hand in hand with the lack of development at the minor leagues stages or minor league levels. And then, of course, teams like the Cubs and the Brewers getting better. All that coincided. All right, it's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. We wish Nolan Arenado the best. Again, no ill will, like Jamie said. Disappointing overall when you look back on Arenado's tenure here, but the man's a true professional and a Hall of Famer. Yep. Future Hall of Famer. Are Brendan Donovan's days now numbered in St. Louis? We'll tell you the latest on the Brendan Donovan rumors next on 101 ESPN.
If you are thinking about selling your home anytime soon coming up here in the St. Louis area, you have to call my friend Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria understands the market here. She's been in business for over 20 years, and she also understands that each zip code carries a different price tag. We know that, and so your home has to be priced accordingly. And Gloria Liu, that's her expertise. She knows exactly how to price your home to get you the most money available, but sell your home quickly. And that's what you want. You don't need hassles. You want to put that house on the market and then sell it. And Gloria Liu can do that for you. Gloria Liu has over 24,000 buyers in waiting. So the moment your home is listed, there is a lot of eyeballs that are going to see that listing, and that helps sell it very, very quickly too. Again, for the most money possible. So please pick up the phone, call Gloria Liu, tell her Jamie Rivers sent you in. She loves hearing that. She can do a fantastic job for you as well. That number is 314-325-6888. Again, that's 314-325-6888, or you can always visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
A lot of reports on Brendan Donovan over the last couple of weeks. We all anticipate that he will be traded from the Cardinals at some point, and I know I've said this a lot, but it does feel like it's going to be happening soon. Here's the latest. Jeff Passan of ESPN says the Giants are aggressively pursuing a second baseman and have been engaged with Chicago on Nico Hoerner and the Cardinals' Brendan Donovan. An infield of Matt Chapman, Willie Adames, Donovan, or Hoerner and Rafael Devers would be among Major League Baseball's best. So that's what the Giants. That's from the Giants' perspective. The question is, who do you want Donovan to go to? And the way I look at it is that the Mariners, who also have been included in the rumors, the Mariners have done a tremendous job of drafting and developing pitching. Now, you also have acquired a lot of pitching in all these deals. So, as well as obviously the trade, as well as the draft last year. So, you might be thinking to yourself, well, we don't need more pitching. Time to get some bats. The Giants, who have been drafting pretty high, time and time again, have really concentrated on offense. So, if he goes to the Giants, I would almost be hoping for some young offense. I think they're going to do a better job of presenting some bats. I think their farm system is better when it comes to offense. If he goes to Seattle, he being Brendan Donovan, Seattle's done a better job of pitching. That's the way I'm looking at it. I don't know if there's a third team that could be interested. And if the Cubs turn around and say, you know what, we're going to keep Nico Hoerner because we just added Alex Bregman too, and we want to keep this thing together, then you're right back in the situation where the Mariners and Giants are fighting over Brendan Donovan. It's a good spot.
Yeah. It's just tough, right, to see all the dismantling of the team because, and I know it's the right move to move on from Brendan Donovan, but there is a part of me that still believes this team needs guidance and leadership. And Goldie's gone, Arenado's gone, Contreras is gone, Sonny Gray is gone, Michael is gone. Like all of your veteran guys, whether you like them as players or not, it's irrelevant. Those are kind of the guys who set the standard for what the team ultimately wants to become. I wonder who that becomes if Arenado's gone now, Donnie's gone. That whole crew I just said is gone. Who becomes that guy? Because you look around the team, there's not any one individual with a long tenure, and anybody that has a somewhat longer tenure is still young. Like, is Jordan Walker going to be the voice? No. Nolan Gorman? No. Mason Wynn? Probably not. Like, maybe he has a voice, but I mean the voice of the team.
Yeah, it's a good question, Jim.
I mean, like,
it really is.
I understand the business side of it in acquiring, trading a player that is valuable right now for assets that you can acquire because that's the way we're headed right now. But I still, maybe it's the old school brain in me, and maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I still think there's value in keeping at least one piece like that to establish, along with the coaching staff and management, what do we want this team to be? What the identity of this team? And Brendan Donovan has been doing an excellent job over the course of his time here in St. Louis of showing you what a St. Louis baseball player should look like.
I agree.
Yeah, I think of the idea of maybe signing a veteran as like a bench bat or something like that to have that veteran presence, but that's also bringing in a guy that hasn't played here before. There's something, at least for me, valuable in a player being a homegrown St. Louis Cardinal because they know the franchise, they know what the expectations are and what it means to truly be a St. Louis Cardinal. So I do find value in that. I also look at what this infield could look like if you bring up J.J. Weatherholt. Maybe you slot him in at third base, and now you have Weatherholt, Wynn, Donovan at second base if he stays, and then Burleson at first base. That infield is a little bit more interesting to me than, let's say, Nolan Gorman being in that infield. So there's a part of me where I'm like, all right, well, now that you got rid of Nolan Arenado, maybe you hold on to Brendan Donovan. But I also understand if they do move on from him, they trade him away to get assets in return, one or maybe a few that we would be excited about. I understand the value in that. So I'm kind of in a, at a crossroad right now because I don't really know how I feel about it. A couple weeks ago, I was definitely in the camp of trade him. But now that Arenado's gone, I'm starting to see a vision of that infield, and it's making me emotional thinking about it,
Yeah. Okay. So this is where I fall back to. What is your goal in the first year under Bloom?
To trade away the people with contracts and get assets in return.
Correct. Use the assets that you have now that don't fit the timeline of when you expect to be winning again, and acquire those pieces that will help you get to there faster. This is a true rebuild. If you go back and look at what the Astros did, the Cubs did, and let's just take what the Cubs did. The Cubs tanked. I agree. They nailed the draft picks, but they started off by trading the assets that they had that were big contracts, didn't match the timeline to win, and they traded those guys and got pieces. The biggest one being Anthony Rizzo. Anthony Rizzo was on a team-friendly deal with the Padres, just kind of buried in San Diego, and Theo Epstein went out and got him to spark the rebuild. This is what Chaim Bloom is doing. So if anything else that doesn't match those goals, I think is irrelevant to some degree. I do, Jamie, understand where you're coming from, though, from a leadership standpoint.
I mean, it's just a simple piece of the equation. If Brendan Donovan is going to get you the most back from the trade market than any other player that you have, then you have to do it. But that doesn't mean that your locker room or your clubhouse won't feel that. And we get a couple of texts here just saying, hey, look, this gives a chance, I'm paraphrasing, this gives a chance now to the young guys to be the voice. Well, I've been in those locker rooms. Problem is, every young guy has a voice then. And a lot of them, their voice is, they express different things, different values, different disciplines, different philosophies, all sorts of things. That's when the veteran comes in and is like, pulls the guy aside, hey, no, this is how we're doing things here, blah, blah, blah. We're not doing it that way. When a young guy approaches a young guy, it's like water off a duck's back. Just whatever, dude. Yeah. What do you know? You've been here a year. You've been 2 years. I've been here 2 years. What?
Right.
You're better than me? No.
Yeah.
So there can be friction. But then with a young manager like Ollie and the younger coaching staff, maybe that's where it helps. Maybe that's where they have to decide to do their job with a little more intensity as well.
Yeah, I see this as a win-win, to be honest. If they trade him away and they get those assets that we're looking for, I find that to be a win. And if he ends up being here on opening day because they don't find what they're looking for, well, then you have a hell of a player in Brendan Donovan still on your roster. I see this as a win-win for now.
Yeah. Up
until the point where if you do end up trading him away and you don't really get anything for him, then that's where I'm wondering, okay, maybe they missed out. But, that's down the road.
It has happened.
It has happened before.
Mo unfortunately became really good at holding on to assets until they rotted.
Until they were no longer assets.
That's correct.
But you know what? Heimer is not Mo.
No, he's not.
No, Heimer knows what's going on.
For the record, I've loved what he's done. It started off with the drafts. Your first draft, what do? You stockpile high-end pitching. Okay, great, I'm on board. You got my attention. He's not emotional about it. He dealt Sonny Gray. He dealt Wilson Contreras. He got Arenado off the books today. He's going to use Brendan Donovan, and I imagine he's going to get max value for Brendan Donovan, or he's not going to trade him. He don't have to. That's the best. It's like, when's the best time to be looking for a job? When you have one. Best time to be trading a player when you don't have to trade him. You can force two teams to up the value, and that is what, at least from the outside perspective, that's what I think Bloom has done here with the Giants and the Mariners when it comes to Brendan Donovan. See how it all plays out. I think he gets dealt, and I think again, if it's to the Mariners, I could see more pitching coming our way. If it's to the Giants, I could see Bloom adding some bats. My prediction on that. All right, Fastlane on 101 ESPN. Do we just watch Aaron Rodgers' finale?
I hope so.
Well, there you go. There's Jamie's take. That's next on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals trade Nolan Arenado and cash to Arizona for Jack Martinez. We talked a little bit about that at the beginning of the show. We'll also dive into the Nolan Arenado trade with Brad Thompson at 3 o'clock, so stay tuned for that interview. Also, the Blues are back in action tonight, taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. You can listen to that game right here on 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 5:30. Puck drop is at 6:30. Coming up next, though, we're going to get into the final game of Wild Card Weekend as the Texans take down the Steelers. Final score 30-6. Did we just witness Aaron Rodgers' final game in the NFL? We'll discuss it next right here in the Fast Lane. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Well, as Marsh just noted, we're going to talk a little bit about Aaron Rodgers and whether or not that was his finale last night as the Steelers. Woof. They go down to the Texans 30-6, and it certainly seemed like the way that the ESPN broadcast was portraying it, that it was probably Aaron Rodgers' last game. I think he probably could play another season for somebody.
Battlehawks, baby.
Well, I was thinking NFL, but sure, yeah. No.
Sorry.
They already have their quarterbacks.
They do. They do.
I think he probably could play another season with somebody, but who?
But who? Who's bringing that on?
You're going to be a bridge quarterback again? Because that's what he was with Pittsburgh.
I think there's only one team.
Minnesota?
Maybe.
So here's my issue with that, though, is if Aaron Rodgers was more like let's say, a Joe Flacco, who goes in there, knows what's up, knows what he is, knows he's a stopgap, all of these things. But Aaron Rodgers can't function like that. Everywhere Aaron Rodgers goes, he wants to be the alpha. He wants to be the guy. But you're only here for a year, dude, if that. Like, sorry, we're not buying into the Aaron Rodgers show. And that kind of happened in Pittsburgh this year. So much so that people were questioning his relationship with Mike Tomlin. They talked about friction. Now, both of those guys have denied that. And I personally never thought that Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers had a beef.
I didn't get that impression at all.
I didn't. But there was rumblings of people when Aaron Rodgers first got there and the way he wanted to do things. And Aaron Rodgers certainly had beef with Artie Smith, Artie the Party. Aaron Rodgers, one press conference, spoke openly about some of the play calling. Like,
Well,
maybe,
I mean,
he's not wrong. He's not wrong at all. But is that what you want? I don't want that. I'd rather go with a Mac Jones. I'd rather go with a retread of a younger-ish quarterback, even a Jameis Winston. Give me that for a year while I stopgap this thing a little bit. Last night, and look, I understand Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer. He was a tremendous quarterback. Age has caught up to him. Plus the injury, I think the Achilles thing, I don't think you're ever the same after that. His movement, I didn't say in the pocket, just everywhere, all over the field this season, but in particular last night against a hungry defense like that. Wow. He looked every bit his age. He couldn't escape. He couldn't, even with stepping up in the pocket, it was slow. It was delayed. And then the biggest thing that really got me is the brain is usually the last thing to go as an athlete. Yeah. Like, you usually can still think the game at a high level. Like, even today, my body cannot do what it once did. But if you put me on the ice, my brain could think and process. Now, I can't get there fast enough to do anything about it, but I know what's going on. Aaron Rodgers, 3rd and long on a number of occasions last night, hits a guy 5 yards down the field with tacklers right there, like defense. What are you doing? Like, that's a choice you're making in the moment, and not every one of them was under duress.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? You're all this experience, and you're checking down, Kirky football style, 3rd and long, and you're giving your receiver or whoever it is, a guy in the flat, giving him no chance to get the first down.
Well, that's the problem. That's the problem when you can't get to 5 or 7 steps without getting a defender right on your back. Then you're not going to be able to throw the ball deep. there's a lot of issues with Pittsburgh offensively. I mean, Jalen Warren was okay in spurts last night, but really, dude, I think he's more of a 2A than a 1A. Kenneth Gainwell's a really nice player, but they got basically two guys that are the second in the complementary back, right? Like they need a big time back. The offensive line is not great. DK Metcalf, they paid him a lot of money to be the alpha. He may have been the alpha in that room, but there's a reason why Seattle moved on, and they're featuring Jackson Smith and Jigba. DK Metcalf is a really good player, physical player, an unbelievable specimen as an athlete. He don't have the best hands, and you saw it again last night.
Who's that?
DK Metcalf.
Oh, no.
And Arthur Smith.
How do you have a job?
You're intrigued by this?
Am I out of line? I'm going to admit something. I did not watch a lot of Arthur Smith in Atlanta. Just didn't.
Yeah, why would you?
But I've watched a lot of Artie the Party this year with Pittsburgh. A lot of games we get to see them and focus on it. And because of Carey, we pay more attention, all this stuff. I feel like his play calling level is that of, and this is no disrespect, of like a high school football team.
Oh, I think high school coaches are probably more creative.
Okay. But I'm talking about, because some of the high school programs, they don't have a quarterback that can really throw, or they don't have the receiver.
Yeah.
So they have to really stick with the running game, short passing game, all these things. That's what reminds me of Artie Smith.
Yeah, that's correct. He's been like that since Atlanta. I mean, Tennessee, you didn't have that because you had Derrick Henry, and you had, obviously, Ryan Tannehill had that spark there in the second half of the season, and he wound up getting an AFC championship game. But, yeah, it's a mess. And, of course, the big news today is that Mike Tomlin has decided to step down in Pittsburgh. I know we're going to talk about this a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Before the news broke, and it broke around 1 o'clock today, that Mike Tomlin is stepping down. He will not coach the Steelers moving forward. Before that, if you read or listened to any sort of sports commentary today, it has been about the Steelers needing to move on from Mike Tomlin because he has not won a playoff game in, I don't know what it's been now, eight years?
2016, I believe.
Okay. It's a long time.
My goodness.
Make no mistake, though. Make no mistake. The reason why the Steelers haven't won a playoff game over that time is because they haven't had the quarterback. End of story. Period. And if you go back through, outside of mortgaging the future, which maybe they should have at some point, outside of mortgaging the future and saying, here are 3 first-round picks, we're going to go from 16 to 1, and we're going to get that guy. The options weren't great because Mike Tomlin did such a great job of making, chicken you-know-what out of chicken you-know-what.
It's almost a kiss of death, though, because
it is.
Like Rafe was talking about it earlier today. I saw him from the Rizzuto show, and he's like, he's always been good enough to screw up the draft.
Unfortunately, yes, which is why they probably at one point should have done what the Rams did in going up to get Jared Goff, because we talked about it a lot when the Rams were here. They were just kind of always in that muddled middle. They drafted Kenny Pickett because Kenny Pickett fell to them. They should have taken Lamar Jackson when they had the chance, but Ben Roethlisberger still had enough left in the tank to not make that move. But by the way, did you see what Green Bay did? Did you see what Green Bay did? Not once, but twice.
Yeah.
They took the QB that they loved to have that next guy.
Or literally what the Ravens did.
Or what the Ravens
Joe
did.
Flacco was still there.
Sure.
You still took Lamar Jackson.
And they didn't even draft Lamar with their first-round pick that year. They took the tight end. Forget his name now. Hayden Hurst.
Hayden Hurst.
The Steelers should have probably mortgaged the future a little bit to go up and get the quarterback. Instead, they kind of did what Mo did over the last couple of years. Just kick the can down the road. We'll keep just trying it. We'll keep with predictable results. But make no mistake, Mike Tomlin is a hell of a coach.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's going to come back in 2026 or not. Maybe it'll be a situation where he takes a year off and then rejoins it. But
there's something to note here that's important. It was very, very specific that the Steelers made it very specific that Mike Tomlin was not fired. Mike Tomlin is taking a year off, And the reason they said that is because, guess what? If Mike Tomlin decides to coach, the Steelers own his rights. And then they can elect to trade him, a la Sean Payton, from the Saints to the Broncos, I believe, for a first-round pick.
And then, of course, the infamous Gruden Raiders-Bucks trade, which also netted.
That's an important fact to remember here, is that Tomlin can't just bounce and start interviewing in Baltimore and Miami. He cannot.
Sure.
They would have to orchestrate a trade right now, or they would have to fire him, which they're not going to fire him, knowing that they can maybe get something for the coach.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. Man, it is crazy. The NFL offseason with the coaching, like the coaching carousel. If you looked at it a couple of weeks ago, it was rough.
We talked about it too. We had a segment about what do you
do, right? Do you really want to fire the guy that you have now?
Right.
Then you look at it, John Harbaugh, Kevin Stefanski, Mike McDaniel. I don't know if he gets a head coaching gig, but still, I mean, he's already gotten offers, or he's already gotten interviews, I should say. And then, of course, if Mike Tomlin does, if they figure out how to get compensation for Mike Tomlin joins that pool. That's crazy. All right. What's trending with Andrew Marsh next on 101 ESPN?
topics in the sports world.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
It's time to find out with
What's Trending? Brought to you by Elite Comfort Experts. Heating and cooling with no gimmicks. Just guarantees. EliteComfortExperts.com.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN with Anthony Stalter and Jamie Rivers. I'm Andrew March, and it's time for What's Trending. Well, gentlemen, Al Arbor, Barrett Jackman, and Alexander Steen became the fourth class inducted into the Blues Hall of Fame. Kelly Chase was honored with the annual True Blue Award. Jamie, you were in attendance for this last night. How was the ceremony? What was your favorite part of the night?
Oh, man. These things are awesome. It really is. Like, you arrive there and you start to see so many former teammates, former Blues players. I mean, the MAC, as we know, they did an amazing job once again. Staff over there just crushed it. But it's cool. You see past players, coaches, everybody's talking. And it's like this weird, awesome, dysfunctional family. Because you have all of these people who played in different eras, different times, that know each other, that joke around, and it's special. It really is special. The Blues do a fantastic job with the entire evening. Now, right from the very first year, they did a great job, but now they've got it down to a science. I mean, it's just awesome. So many things to love about last night. Obviously, the Kelly Chase and his moment receiving the True Blue Award and just seeing the support he had there, not only from former Blues players. Ray Whitney was there, Mike Keane, Curtis Lasician, like a number of former NHLers showed up last night to be there for Kelly, and of course all of the former teammates and whatnot as well. So that was a great night. Garth Brooks was there to support Chaser. They've become friends over the years, and Garth is a huge hockey fan as well. And he was great with his time for pictures, autographs, whatever people wanted. Garth was there to be there for the Blues and for Kelly Chase. Just awesome, man. It really is. The community showed up again. So many great people having good times, and it's pretty special. It's really, really great that the Blues have created this, and that every year it seems like it keeps evolving into something even better.
So the Blues posted some of the ceremony, some videos on their X account or Twitter account, whatever you want to call it. So you can watch some of those videos. But when you hear some of the former players talk about what it truly means to be a St. Louis Blue, for those current players that were in attendance, how important is it to hear from the former players about what it truly means to put on the Blue Note? And do you think that something like this could be a turning point for the Blues this season with sort of a mindset switch?
Yeah, it could be. Like, quite honestly, it would have an effect on me. Mm-hmm. I would be like, oh my gosh, like, what are we doing here?
Right.
Some guys maybe not. So it all depends on the personality of the player. Almost the entire team was in attendance. The entire coaching staff was in attendance. Obviously, Doug Armstrong was there. And yeah, it's fun to look at some of their expressions as like Red Berenson and Gary Unger are telling a story from way back when they played the Philadelphia Flyers about getting in a brawl after the game with the police. Uh-oh. Like Al Arbor fighting a policeman and like all this stuff. Like, it was crazy stuff. You can see their faces like, what the heck is going on here? What? So it's cool to see the younger generation or the new generation of player hear the older generation talking about it. But Marsh, you're right. Like, and it's kind of on the down low, but the alumni get together every year with the Blues team, the current Blues team. Mm-hmm. We have luncheon. It's something we've done for 2 or 3 years now. And the alumni usually have one representative that says something to the team. And every year the theme, without even planning it, is what it's like to wear the Blue Note, to represent the city of St. Louis, to represent the fans and all that. It's so much more than just wearing a jersey that looks cool or that you play hockey in. Mm-hmm. For me, it always carried a lot of extra weight here in St. Louis. Like, the one thing I never wanted to do is have somebody leave the rink that night thinking, that guy doesn't care. That guy doesn't. Like, I might suck as a player. I might have an awful game. But you're not going to question how hard I tried for this team in this city tonight. You're just not. And I think that's the main thing. And I think Chaser said it a couple of years ago to some of the players, said, when you're at dinner, people will look over at you and say, hey, that guy there, he represents St. Louis. Like, he gets it. He gets it. Great guy, great player, works hard. Or they look at it and go, that guy just can't figure it out. Doesn't belong here. He could be a fantastic player, but you may not belong here.
Right.
And so I think that that's the biggest eye-opening thing for current players is realizing, truthfully, without being cheesy, what it means to be a friggin' St. Louis Blue. Like the Bobby Plaggers, when he used to sit beside you in the locker room and tell you what it was like to be a St. Louis Blue. Jimmy Roberts telling you the honor it is to put the jersey on. Like I always went, every time I played, again, didn't always have a great game. I'm not going to claim that. But every time I touched the ice, I always thought to myself, one, I wanted the former players to know that I was out there working hard, and I wanted the fans every night to leave there going, yeah, he's not great, but he played physical. He blocked 4 or 5 shots. He got stitches over his eyes. I'm okay with that guy.
Right.
You know, like, and I'm being kind of funny
here,
about
though.
it, you know?
But it plays here.
But because people just want that.
Right.
I paid my damn money. Like, show me you care about this as much as I do. And I don't know. I think that's the mindset of that the team should be having.
Well said.
I feel like Braden Shen really emulates that on this current group.
There's a number of guys that do.
Yeah. I wonder, we talked about Brendan Donovan potentially leaving, being traded away, and what that would do for the room. I understand that Shen isn't the player that he once was, but I feel like there'd be a massive hole there in the locker room if he left. And we discussed it last year, and the team pulled it together. They made a playoff run, or, got to the playoffs, and I don't know. I understand that it could happen. I just think it'd be a massive hole in that locker room if he ends up going somewhere else.
It's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. We do have the Blues Hurricanes pregame 5:30 tonight on 101 ESPN. The puck drop at 6:30 on the Blues Radio Network. Again, you can listen to everything, wall-to-wall Blues coverage right here on your home of the Blues, 101 ESPN. Brad Thompson's going to join us next, our great buddy, former World Series champion. Well, not former. He's always a World Series champion. Former Cardinal. He's going to join us to talk about the Nolan Arenado trade and what he's hearing about Brendan Donovan. That's next on 101 ESPN. Hey, when it comes to the NFL playoffs, there's no better way to get in on the action than with my friends at Underdog. Underdog is super easy to play. When you go to the app or you go to the website and you sign up, and I got a great promo offer for you here coming up, but when you go to the app, you go to the website, just choose whether or not certain players are going to go higher or lower on their stats. That's it. So if you're looking at the Bills and Broncos matchup, which is up first, and actually you can look at the whole slate. You don't have to just choose one matchup. You can take players from every game if you want. But when it comes to that matchup, how can you not like Josh Allen to score a touchdown? I also like Cortland Sutton to have himself a pretty big game. I'll be looking at going higher on his receiving yards. If you like certain matchups or you don't, you could choose lower on certain players' stats. So if looking at last night, you probably didn't love the matchup with Aaron Rodgers versus the Texans. If you would have chose lower on his passing total, which is probably only about 200 and some yards, you probably cashed. When it comes to your entries, build your entries. If you get them right, you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. So jump off the couch, get to the app, download that today. Use promo code Anthony to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Again, use my promo code Anthony at sign up to Underdog. Make plays, win money. Must be 18 or older and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.nspgambling.org. It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN with Andrew Marsh and Jamie Rivers. I'm Anthony Stalter. Carey Davis will be back with us tomorrow. It's 3:02. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Let's head to the Collier and Thompson phone line. We're joined by our great buddy, Brad Thompson, 2006 World Series champion. Of course, you listen to him and see him on the FanDuel Sports Network during the Cardinals season alongside Chip Carey. BT, what's up, my friend?
Yeah, or whatever network it ends up being.
Yeah, well, either way. We'll roll with that for now.
What's up, gentlemen? How we doing?
A lot of action. A lot of people want to know your thoughts on the Nolan Arenado deal. Let me ask you this. You know what has transpired, and we will get to Nolan Arenado and like the era for the Cardinals, right? But speaking about the trade specifically, do you think that Chaim Bloom did well here based on what we know about him nixing the deal last year in Houston? Because I do. To get a pitcher out of the deal, I think was really good.
Look, at the end of the day, your goal was to move Arenado. That was the goal for both sides. Nolan wanted to move too, and not that there was any bad blood. They just both, and Chaim has talked about this, Nolan has talked about this. It was time for a new start somewhere else, right? And last year, to your point, Anthony, that deal was nixed, and the thought was, something else will come up. Nothing else came up, right? So then you had an asset, and I give all the credit in the world to Arenado, and we shouldn't be surprised, but he handled it like a pro, because there are some guys that would come into spring expecting to get traded all off season and then are just grumpy to the world and awful to be around, and he didn't handle it that way. So look, to that point, you had to find a taker on both sides. Nolan had that full no trade. You had a deal pop up, and who knows, like this Jack, and I believe it's Martinez instead of Martinez. I'll butcher that. Hopefully I get a chance to if he makes it to the big leagues.
I already have
zero
butchered
ERA.
it. Yeah,
he got a 0 ERA in the minor leagues right now. He hasn't pitched yet. Yeah, hasn't pitched yet, but he will, and we'll find out what that ends up looking like. But look, you found a partner for a large asset. Yes, you're spending a lot of money to send him that direction. But at the end of the day, your goal was to move these contracts, free up some spots for some of your young guys, and really start this, whether we want to call it a rebuild, retool. I call it a world of opportunity for some guys. So, yeah, I mean, I think it was a deal that needed to be done. We couldn't go another year, guys, of having a situation like this with Arenado.
BT, we talked about it here on the show to start the show, and I said, the overall, umbrella of this Nolan Arenado era is that pretty impressive to have a guy like that play third base for your organization. And I mean, he was a rock star until the last couple of seasons. And I just wonder, I just hope that doesn't taint the overall view of this from certain Cardinals fans. But for you, you were able to call so many games that he's played in. You got to know him, be around him. How will you remember, not the era, but Nolan Arenado, the player?
Well, look, I still truly believe right now when you look at the 13-year career of Nolan Arenado, and certainly on the tail end of things, right now, just playing his age 34 season, you doubt you're going to get more of these MVP caliber ones, but I do believe that 5 years or so, depending on how the voting goes, after his career ends, whenever that may be, I think that he's going to be in Cooperstown. He's one of the best defenders to ever play the game, and that is backed up by the stack of gold gloves that he's got. He's got 10 of them, 6 of them platinum, and a home run hitting machine throughout his career, over 350 bombs and counting. So I do believe that when you're talking about, the Cardinals have had a long lineage, right, of having a Hall of Famer wear their uniform for over, I forget exactly what the amount of years are, but it's been a pretty good one running. I believe that you will have another one in Nolan Arenado. So yeah, you're right. The last couple of years have not been what he is expected of himself. Certainly not what fans have wanted to expect out of Nolan Arenado, but a pro's pro, and I wish him all the best in Arizona. This isn't one of those where it's like he goes somewhere else and maybe the numbers look better. And by the way, the numbers better look better. You're going from St. Louis, which was is a very pitcher-friendly ballpark. That happened after 2009 when I was let go. They changed some things. They changed the numbers for everybody. But but to a very hitter-friendly ballpark and a hitter-friendly West that he knows very well. So, I hope he has some success, but I think that having him wear the birds on the bat and at some point probably wearing a red jacket as a Cardinal Hall of Famer, I think that means a lot for the organization to be able to bring in pieces like that. Now, the next key is, how do you develop pieces like that so you don't have to go out and buy them? And I think that is exactly what Chaim Bloom and company are really focusing on now.
Brad Thompson joining us right now on the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. BT, we're going to have this segment later on. I'm interested in your thoughts. What lesson is there to be learned from the Arenado era, we'll call it? And we can expand it maybe to even the Goldschmidt Arenado era. Was there a lesson to be learned?
No, I mean, I don't have one off the top of my head, but I'll be prepared for the segment when it comes up a little bit later.
Fair.
But look, I think maybe the lesson to be learned is, maybe alluding to my last point, Anthony, is don't get yourself in a position where you have to trade for your superstars. And easier said than done, because it's not an easy thing to do. That Albert Pujols doesn't come walking through the door all the time, although the door's open if he's bored. But I feel like the biggest thing, if you can draft and develop this type of talent, obviously the Cardinals have attempted to do that, and hopefully they've been successful in that. We just haven't seen it come to fruition yet, and we'll see more of it in the future. But I think that's one of the biggest things, and we've seen them have so much success with this mold over the years, right? That same idea with Matt Holliday, traded that guy over, incredible career. Scott Rowland, Jim Edmonds, among others, that has worked out very well under different leadership, mind you. But I think that the lesson potentially could be, hey, make those stars your own, because when you do that, you have cost control stardom, and then you'll know, if you commit to them, maybe it's not going to be at some of the dollar amount that you end up on the hook with at the end of some of these deals.
BT, rumors swirling right now about Brendan Donovan. I mean, they've kind of been going on for, the entire offseason now. I said something earlier, and I don't even know if it holds value anymore. Maybe you can shed some light on it, but I basically said that Nolan Arenado, Goldie, Contreras, Sonny Gray, a lot of veteran presence now out of the clubhouse. And, Brendan Donovan would kind of be that guy, that leader type player for your clubhouse to mold the future, or you're developing players right now. Is that even a thing anymore? Or is it just a matter of doing business, getting the assets you can, and let the young guys figure it out?
No, look, I think, Jamie, and you know this as well as anybody, that's always going to be a thing. I don't care. You can have all the numbers in the world, and you can have all the exit velocities and range factors and WOBAs and XFIP, Anthony, all of those things. And those are great. There's real value in that. But there's real value in leadership. And there's real valuable, it's very valuable to have a tangible person that you can look at and you can talk to, and the way things are supposed to go, because that guy emulates it. And I think that Brendan Donovan emulates what it should be like wearing the birds on the bat. He's a throwback player. Now, that being said, none of that matters if you find the right deal for him, because that's where the Cardinals are at right now. Unfortunately, Jamie, I don't think right now, and the holiday season's over, maybe somebody's got a birthday coming up, I'm not sure I would get a Brendan Donovan jersey right this second, because look, the rumors are swirling for a reason. But that is one thing, right? And this is off the topic of Donovan, but on the topic of leadership. And Chaim Bloom has talked about this with the moves that have happened, and the offseason certainly not over yet. Something that they would like to have in this lineup is a right-handed bat, specifically a right-handed outfield bat. You would think, with pulling Burley into the infield now, over at first base, but not only just having a right field bat, but having a veteran one, because there is a real need. And you've seen this in the bullpen. They bring in a guy like Ryan Stanek, and you bring him in because he's going to help your ball club, a high-octane arm, but you also bring him in because you got a bunch of young kids that need to be able to learn along the way. We saw that the last couple of years. You saw that with Phil Maton. You saw that with Andrew Kittredge. It is a big deal to have those kind of guys. So, Jamie, I don't think that leadership is ever going to be a thing that isn't valued. But right now, where the Cardinals are, it's kind of more so, I think they know how valuable Donnie is in a role like that, and obviously how valuable he is on the field. But if your return is you believe worthwhile, you got to figure out somebody else to jump into that role, and I'd be interested to see kind of who emerges from the current group of guys.
Brad Thompson joining us right now on the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Speaking of which, BT, so let's say Donovan is dealt. You mentioned moving Burleson to first base. What do you project the infield to look like for the Cardinals?
Yeah, different, Anthony. It's different overall. It is. Yeah, so everybody is, the J.J. Weatherholt question is, one of the biggest one. Everybody wants to see him. This young man has done nothing but basically force your hand in the 1 year that he put together. But I don't think that anything, even if you move both of those pieces, I don't believe that anything's going to be handed to Weatherholt. Like, I think that JJ still has to have a very good spring training and still force the hand of the team. I'm Bloom, and we had an opportunity to just talk to him the other day, before we head out on these caravans and all this fun stuff that's starting this weekend, just talking baseball. And he's talked about, he doesn't have one MO for a young player. It's like, well, this guy's got to get 1,000 at-bats, or this guy's got to get 500 innings, whatever it is. Every case is different. But he, just like any other executive, worries about rushing guys to the big leagues, right? So they have to, at times, force your hand. So what I personally want to see, I want to see J.J. Weatherholt have an awesome spring, and then he forces your hand. And if Donovan's gone, I would see J.J. playing second base. That would be my thought. It'd be Weatherholt and Wynn up the middle, and likely, barring any other moves, right now with your current roster, Gorman over at third is the way that I would look at it. How do you guys see it?
Yeah, that's kind of what I had. It would just depend on what J.J. Weatherholt would be more comfortable with. I'm assuming it would be as a second baseman. I like the tandem of him and Wynn up the middle, like you just suggested. I don't really see what else you do. If Gorman's not moved, I think Gorman winds up being your third baseman next year.
What are you doing with the JC? Utility?
Probably.
Yeah. All right.
BT, what are your thoughts on Sajasi?
Unless he forces your hand, right? And so if you're a guy like Thomas Sajasi, and I'm going to get an opportunity over the weekend, he's going to be on the caravan that I'm on. But you've got to be pumped up about this season, because it is a one of those areas where if you start tearing it up, if you have an incredible spring, or if you just have a first month of the season where you're dialed in, you're going to get more and more at bats. This is going to be very, very competitive. And in talking to Chaim, and I know that he's echoed this, in other places, it's not going to be, we talked about getting a position handed to J.J. Weatherholt. They don't want to hand anything to anybody. They would like some of these young players. I think that there were times last year where there were some guys on the roster, and not veteran guys, some younger guys, that knew that nobody was coming for their job. You look over your shoulder and nobody's there. Right now, there's some guys there. There's a little bit of competition there, which breeds some good things. So to me, that part of it is exciting. So whether it's the JC battling it out for a role, or if it's your outfielders fighting for at-bats, or if it's your starting staff where you got a lot of new faces that are going to be fighting it out for jobs, whether it's Richard Fitz or Hunter Dobbins or Dustin May, there's going to be a lot of competition. And as you guys know, that breeds great results. And sometimes being uncomfortable because somebody might be coming for you could get the best out of somebody.
Yeah, a little competition never hurt anybody, right?
Yeah, except for the people that are soft.
Very true.
That's so true.
Yeah. Yeah, which we're not, so that's good.
No, of course.
Bring it on, man.
There's no
Absolutely.
competition for you guys, though. What are you going to do?
BT, we love you, man. We appreciate you, and I'm sure we'll have you back on here soon enough.
Absolutely. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll catch up soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
All right, see you guys.
See ya. Brad Thompson, 2006 World Series champion. Of course, you hear him alongside Chip Carey for the Cardinals TV broadcast.
Yeah,
we'll go
that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah. Jamie, you do pose an interesting question about Thomas Sajasi. If you have Sajasi at third base, where does Gorman fit? Well, you can say DH, but for me, Ivan Herrera is your DH.
Yeah.
So you can put him. You could put Ivan Herrera at catcher. Good. To me, I think you develop a catcher. And I just haven't seen enough to stick with him.
Listening to Ollie and Chaim Bloom talk about Herrera, they literally said that he was not developed the right way.
Yeah.
Basically saying that they did him a disservice. So what does that mean? Like, what does that look like then? Because do you go back to Herrera playing AAA ball next year?
No.
I mean, how else do you redevelop a catcher? Especially when they've expressed an appetite to do it now.
Yeah. Well, you start with obviously a program which he's probably already on. And then when he gets to spring training, that coaching can expand, that development can expand. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to the regular season, you ease him in. To me, that's what it looks like. It's not, you need his bat.
But then that would indicate that they are not moving him out of a catcher role.
No. The way you phrased it to start would be an indication of they still see something in him that says, okay, if we just spend a little bit more time correctly developing him, then he could be a catcher.
I just don't know how you correct arm strength that drastically. I just don't. I mean, maybe there's miracle ways to do it. I'm a hockey guy. Don't know. But, come on.
Well, maybe they hired somebody that is the catching pop-up time wizard.
Well, if you said that his arm has been bothering him, maybe it's that right there. You get that corrected and you build up a little bit more strength in the off season, and maybe next thing you know,
PEDs, Marshy, you're right. I like what you said there.
I did not say that
back
at all.
Marshy, I like that you have the guts to say it.
Anthony, what are we talking about now?
It's fascinating on 101 ESPN. Are the Texans legit? Yeah, that defense is.
Yeah.
Or are they a tease? Yeah, that offense is. That's next on 101 ESPN. last night on 101 ESPN. Boy, that Houston Texans defense, my word, Super Bowl caliber. Huh, boys? They shut down Aaron, just like they've shut down a lot of big-time quarterbacks this season. Couple of defensive tutties last night. Texans are legit. That offense sucks, by the way. Oh, my word.
I told you they're ugly. Ugly offense.
Don't you? I told you nothing.
I told you, Anthony. I told you.
I told you Woody Marks wouldn't do nothing last night. Fortunately for the Texans, Woody Marks actually had a good game.
He was like their best player outside of Christian Kirk.
Their best player outside of Christian Kirk is right. C.J. Stroud had an ugly performance last night. There are certain throws that C.J. Stroud make where I'm like, franchise quarterback, you're in good shape. He can elevate those around him. Then there are others, like the one he threw deep inside Pittsburgh territory, where they had this nice drive going. I mean, moving right down the field. Coming out of the break, halftime's over with. Texans need some momentum. They started to get Jaden Higgins involved more, which he was a ghost in the first half. I have no idea why. I mean, Joey Porter was on Nico Collins, so in theory, you should have had Jaden Higgins come about, have more target and stuff. But they start to get him more involved. Kirk had a big night. Then C.J. Stroud throws the interception, which is a horrible decision overall. Put the ball on the ground 5 times. Not all his fault. Center had a rough night.
Yeah, but my gosh, that was ugly.
Any other game, most games, I would say, you lose that if you're the Texans and you turn the ball over that much. I like C.J. Stroud. But how can anybody trust this Houston Texans offense, especially with Nico Collins suffering the head injury last night in the second half? They got a quick turnaround. I don't know if Nico Collins is going to be available for the divisional round matchup against the Patriots. But boy, I like that defense. You can win any game because of that defense. So Texans legit or just one big tease?
Yes. I think the defensive side of their game is legit. They're ready to win a Super Bowl with that defense. That offense is nowhere near ready. So I'd have to say that based on that, you can't win a football game. Mm-hmm. And you probably won't win your next football game. Unless you can keep they got the Patriots?
Yes, sir.
Unless they can keep the Patriots to 3 or 6 points.
Which
it's possible.
Possible, not likely, but possible.
I'm just saying, otherwise.
The Texans did a nice job against that offense for the Patriots. They did. They had no offense themselves, but they played very well against Drake May and company.
Yeah, the offense is the reason why I don't think this team will ultimately get to the Super Bowl. There's this one game, and I know the team has played better since said game, but when I watched them take on the Seahawks earlier this year, it was a primetime game. That defense did everything in their power to give the team an opportunity to win, and the offense continually sucked and was not good enough to ultimately get them over the hump. Now, the Seahawks are a good team, but so are the rest of the teams left in the playoffs. That's why they're in the playoffs and they're in the divisional round.
Yeah.
The Patriots present a problem, obviously, to the Texans. But there's just something about, I know the defense is good. There's just something about the offense that I cannot buy into this team. I just can't. I know the defense is good. I just can't do it, though. And yeah, you can make the argument, well, Denver's defense, when they defeated Carolina in the Super Bowl, that was an all-world defense. And you had an aging Peyton Manning who was throwing duck farts out there.
And that would be true.
Yes. C.J. Stroud is not Peyton Manning. At least Peyton Manning is smart enough to pre-snap all that stuff and Hall of Famer all that stuff. This offense is so ugly to watch. I cannot buy into them despite the defense.
And yet we have seen C.J. Stroud elevate that offense at times.
He has.
So there's that, and I like the weapons. Again, I don't know if Nico Collins is going to be healthy. If he's not, that's a huge detriment.
But this game was so close against the Steelers.
I know.
In the fourth quarter.
Marsh, what I'm saying is it's ugly for the Texans on offense. Full stop.
Yeah.
But we have seen it even this year where the offense is firing on all cylinders.
We have.
And you say, man, this is a team that I don't think anybody wants to face. the biggest difference between what we saw last night and what we're going to see this weekend is that Drake May can get out of the pocket. Drake May's legs carried the Patriots on Sunday night against L.A.
Yeah,
him and Ramondre Stevenson.
And let's not forget here that several people coming off this last game the Patriots played, Dan Orlovsky talked about it. I believe some of the Chargers players talked about it. The way the Patriots were lining up on defense, the team couldn't pick up their coverage. They couldn't pick up what the hell they were doing. And if that's the case, I mean, poor C.J. Stroud's going to be in a lot of trouble if he can't recognize the coverages that are coming from a team that had a really good defensive game against the Chargers, who have a very experienced coach in Harbaugh. And the fact that they couldn't pick up what was going down says a lot about the Patriots' defense.
Well, now the Patriots' offense was not that great against the Chargers on Sunday night. That will be a problem for the Patriots. I would assume this will be a low-scoring game. I don't know what the total is right now, but I would have to imagine it's going to be an ugly football game.
What do you think the total is? I'm interested because I haven't seen it. I would say probably 40.
I was thinking 41.5.
Yeah, I would say 42.5. So we're right in the same area here.
Let me take a look-see, Anthony.
Oh, it's even lower than we think.
Wow.
Not by much.
40.5 on ESPN.
Okay.
Patriots are a 3-point favorite. But they're the home team, so basically this is an even game.
Yeah, if it was in Houston, Houston probably be a 2.5-point favorite, is what the odds are suggesting. All right, it's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. We have our Sports Six-Pack coming up, 314-399-9646 at the Air Comfort Service text line. So we'll have part one of the Six-Pack. If you have a question, send it into the Air Comfort Service text line. Part one, Sixer, next. If you didn't join me and get in on the NFL playoff action last week with Underdog, well, divisional round, it's perfect for you. Playing on Underdog, it's easy. Choose whether or not players are going to go higher or lower on their stats. And they've got rushing yards, receiving yards, touchdowns. They even have defensive stats and fantasy points that you could choose for higher or lower when it comes to Underdog. If you get your entries right, you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. And one of the best parts about playing an Underdog is you don't have to worry about sticking with just the one game, right? You're like, I can just make picks from this one game and that's it. No, you can play the entire board if you like. You could choose a Texans player in the matchup against the Patriots. Then you can go and maybe choose a player for the Broncos or Bills and 49ers and Seahawks. You could choose one player from each. You could build your entries any way you want. And if you get them right, again, 5,000 times your cash is at stake for you. I've mentioned this before. Josh Allen, I think, gets in the end zone again. That seems to be easy money at this point. I also like the fact that if you look at some of the matchups with Denver and Buffalo overall, I think Cortland Sutton winds up having a bigger game. I'll have more picks throughout the course of the week. But if you're not playing an Underdog, download the app today. Use my promo code Anthony to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Again, use that promo code Anthony, just my first name. That's all you have to remember. At Underdog. Make plays, win money. Must be 18 or older in President, Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.nspgambling.org.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The big news of the day, the Cardinals trade Nolan Arenado, and they send cash considerations to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Jack Martinez, or as BT said, Jack Martinez, is what the Cardinals received in return. We talked with Brad Thompson earlier. If you missed that conversation, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the free Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's 101 ESPN mobile app. Just head to the podcast page. You'll find all of our interviews and full shows there, and it's all brought to you by the Schaefer Door Company. Blues are back in action tonight, taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. Pre-game for that one starts at 5:30. Puck drop is at 6:30. Coming up next, we have our Sports Six-Pack, so get your questions into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646. Sports Six-Pack is next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
It's time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
Refreshed by Urban Chestnut. Urban Chestnut Swickle Light Premium Light Beer. Live your lifestyle, St. Louis.
This is Fastlane on 101 ESPN. Time for the Sports Six-Pack. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. So you got questions, send them there. Marsh, question one, please.
Question number one.
From the 636, who won the Pick'em Challenge between the Fast Lane and the Rizzuto Show?
That'd be us. Yes. That'd be us. We won the tiebreaker. Apparently, and this was announced today on the Rizzuto Show, 105.7 The Point, our sister station, Mike Ryder went on The Point. Jamie, you joined him via the telephone. Mm-hmm. And it was Mike had the sealed envelope with all our picks, both teams. And as it broke down, it came down to the Steelers and the Texans last night.
That's crazy.
We were up by 1 point going into that game. They had 3 people on the Steelers. We had 1. Carey. Carey was going to go with the Steelers. And therefore, we won the Pick'em Challenge. So, nice job, guys.
Yes, well done.
It wasn't always easy.
Back to back to back.
Wow. Wasn't always easy. We had to come back this year.
Yeah, we screwed some things up.
Yeah. We weren't on the same page team-wise. Credit the Rizzuto Show once again for battling us, taking us to OT. But in the end, we wound up getting it done. So here's the punishment for the Rizzuto Show. They will, and this was their side of the punishment, they wanted us to do a NFL-style combine in which they could choose the outfits that we had to wear. That was what they presented. We agreed to it. Now they have to do it. So they have to do an NFL style combine, think 40-yard dash and 3-cone drill and all this stuff, and we get to choose the outfits that they have to do it in. Mm-hmm. The second thing is they have to host their show in the morning one day, provide us lunch that afternoon, same day, and then host our show in the afternoon. That was our punishment one year, save for the lunch thing.
Oh,
it was a long day.
It was a really long day.
I know it's radio. I get it. We're not, on top of roofs and the heat and all that.
Talking for 8 hours, almost straight, you get a headache. You get punch drunk almost. You get giddy. You lose focus.
Think about us at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
Oh my God, I get 1 hour of sleep that night.
Yeah. Marcy really would be hurting.
I just pull an all-nighter if that were the case.
It's going to be rough for them. But if they're professionals, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. So, yeah. Nice job, boys.
Well,
congratulations.
Now we need costume ideas. Maybe the listeners can help us out on that one.
Sure. Yeah, we'll take any sort of recommendations.
But is it one costume for the whole day, or is it a different costume per event?
I don't remember there being a costume for the actual show. I thought it was just the combine.
Well, the combine has different events.
I would say one.
Yeah, just one.
I say one outfit. It's going to be tough enough for us to come up with one outfit. I mean, we're not very good at this. Let's be honest.
Speak for yourself,
Jamie.
What?
Remember a couple of years ago, we couldn't even settle on what outfit they're supposed to wear for their punishment for the photo.
Well, that's because we got overruled, though, too. Oh. We basically got told, here's how it's going to go down.
Either way.
They do like to...
but that was like months. In their defense, it was like months later.
What side are you on?
I'm on our side. But I'm also on the side of reality.
Doesn't sound like Anthony's on our side at all. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's what happened this year. Maybe that's why they had such a lead.
Double agent.
Were you throwing things?
Okay, let me...
Here comes Anthony. Who was first place?
Let me just check, Jamie, because we are stats and facts here. Let me just see how everybody did. Oh, I finished first out of everything.
The ultimate ruse.
Okay, good.
The ultimate ruse. Mm-hmm. Wonder how many of those ones went the other way.
Go chase yourself, Jamie. Go fast lane yourself. Number one. Our team was number one. Yeah. You want to break down individuals? Me, one.
What were the standings?
I don't know, actually.
I will say, not that I wanted to do this NFL Combine, but I was kind of intrigued on what my numbers would be doing the Combine. Did that thought ever occur to you guys?
But the way they were talking, like even in the 40, at one point Rafe was like, yeah, we might make you do it in high heels. So like it's not really like a
true...
Yeah, like it's not, you know what I mean?
Man, high heels, that'd be tough.
Yeah, there goes an ankle. For sure.
Anyways.
There goes our career. To ever make it to the NFL.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, we can't risk that. All right, question 2.
Question number 2.
All right, gentlemen. So we've been talking Cardinals for a majority of the show. Obviously, the Blues are in quite a bit of a hole right now, although they're not completely out of the playoff picture. That just goes to show you how the Western Conference is doing this year. But we got a text from 636. So the Cardinals are finally starting to blow everything up and restart. What do you think it would take for the Blues to do the exact same thing?
To what?
To blow it up?
You'd have to have 5 guys waive their no-trade clauses. To blow it up? That's. I mean, I believe we've talked about this, but we can do it again for fun here. Is you'd have to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys waive their no-trade clause to blow it up. Okay?
Not going to happen.
No, you're not going to get anything in return. Like, let's not forget about this. Like, you pick Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou. I think those are assets. I think Jordan Binnington can get you some. If you wanted to trade a Colton Parayko, I think you could. But the players that you're wanting to move on from that have no trade clauses, what value is there? For what? Like, you're not getting anything back, and nobody's taking that. The player could waive his no trade clause, trade him to any other teams. Doesn't mean your phone's going to ring unless you're willing to eat the salary. If you're willing to keep $4 million or $5 million of cap on your books, then you probably find a taker. But at the current value of what these contracts are, of the guys you actually want to move on from, I don't think you have a dance partner. So,
here's my official take on this. Okay, you're probably better off finding certain guys within the clubhouse, and I don't have anybody in mind, but I'm sure that Doug Armstrong and Montgomery, they know there's certain players that need to move on. Doesn't mean you can, like Jamie's suggesting, but I would start there as opposed to saying completely tear it down. And we can say the Cardinals and Blues, we can compare the two. The Cardinals have been stuck in self-made purgatory for several years now. Let's not forget the Blues should have beaten Winnipeg in the first round last year. I don't think the situations are comparable. I also know that what we're seeing, the majority of the time, has not worked. Like, i.e., this current roster has not worked. That has been the majority of the time. Both things can be true, though. So why not tinker first before you say, hey, we're going to completely tear this thing down?
I agree.
It was obvious with the Cardinals. It was obvious. It was time to move on, break up the band, take it down to the studs, and go. I don't know if we're there yet, but I do want to recognize, because I feel like Blues fans are probably pissed right now.
Of course they are.
I understand you're frustrated. I understand you're ticked off. But we as fans, and I'll put myself in this category too, as soon as our team starts losing again, we're like, fire everybody. Done. It's not realistic. From an economic standpoint, like Jamie's saying, from a logical standpoint, as far as these no trade clauses are concerned, and if you're reasonable about it, there's still a lot of good pieces on this roster. Some of it has to be broken up. But you're not going to get a full rebuild with 900 no trade clauses on the contracts.
Yeah, and you got 12 players currently on your roster right now under the age of 28. Like, you're not an aging roster. Like,
right.
A lot of these guys are 23 for Jake Neighbors, 24 for Dylan Holloway, 21 for Jimmy Snuggerud, 20 for Dvorsky, Stenberg, 20.
I don't know if those are the players that people are thinking of, though.
No, you're not hearing me. You've already done, this is your rebuild. Like, you already have that. And then you have Juracek, Carbonneau still in the pipeline that are coming up. So that's another two players. Like, I don't know how much more of a rebuild you want to tear it down now and have a crappy team for these young players to deal with for 4 or 5 years? I don't know. It ain't working. I get it. Yeah. You should be mad. I don't have the solution.
I agree. I don't know if the solution is a full teardown.
You just can't do it. So it's pointless to talk about it when you can't actually do it.
There you go. Question 3 coming up after the break here on 101 ESPN.
Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy, Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and New Nordic US.
Jamie, one of the reasons why we get our guy Stewie on the line is when we want to talk about certain benefits that could help people right now. And Stewie, I know right now you want to talk about maybe switching to a shorter term. What do you mean by that?
Anthony, when you go at a longer rate or a longer term, a 30-year fix, the rates are higher than a 20-year fix. We have an ESPN listener, and we're refinancing him. He can go back to a 30-year and save about $300 a month, or he can go a 20-year. The rate is 0.5% better than the 30-year fixed rate and keep the payment the same. And that's what he's going to do, saving over $300,000 in interest over the term of the loan. So if you want to save money and you want to earn equity in your house quicker, go to a 20-year. The rate is better than a 30-year. And that way, with the bagel loan, no closing costs. And in that way, you'll reduce the term. You'll have the house free and clear quicker. You're way ahead of the game.
What an amazing idea that is. I mean, and we talk about saving hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest. I mean, come on. Pick up the phone, call Stewie. Just ask him if you're able to qualify for that kind of a switch up or a refinance or anything you've got for Stewie. Just ask him. His number, personal cell phone number, by the way, is 314-324-4440.
Again, that number is 314-324-4440.
Give him a call, shoot him a text. Just don't wait. Don't procrastinate. Let Stewie help you out right now and immediately change things for you. And if you can't remember any of that stuff, you can always
Google the bagel loan. Stewie, keep up the great work.
Hey, guys, let's go to the casino and have some fun with the money we save.
Let's go, baby.
NMLS number 226715.
It's time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
Refreshed by Urban Chestnut. Urban Chestnut Swickle Light Premium Light Beer. Live your lifestyle, St. Louis.
Coming up at 4:30, we will carry a press conference from Chaim Bloom. Imagine he's going to discuss the Nolan Arenado trade, so we'll hear what he has to say. Again, 4:30, we'll air that live here on 101 ESPN. Time for question 3 for part 2 of the Sports Six-Pack. Marsh, hit us.
Question number 3.
Hard.
From the 314, what is the most intriguing AFC North job opening and why?
Ravens, Lamar Jackson.
And that roster.
That
roster is injured a lot of the season.
Yeah.
And I think that's why John Harbaugh is unemployed right now, which I don't necessarily agree with. Coach gets fired because the roster's been hurt at key times of the season. That Ravens roster is ready to win.
And he had a large, let me say this. I don't know. I don't know the inner workings of the Baltimore Ravens, but John Harbaugh was there for what?
18
seasons? 19 seasons? 18 for him, 19 for Tomlin, something like that?
Something like that.
You know that Harbaugh had a hand in hand-picking those players. So it's not as if it's like, he just benefited from the GM. John Harbaugh knows what he's doing. So the Ravens would be the most attractive job. Let me say this, though, because I heard BK Ferrario and T-Bone, the midday show here, talking about how the Steelers' job wouldn't be attractive. Now, BK did say, don't look at it just right now, look at it long term. And argue that the job is a lot more attractive than people think. I agree with BK. The ownership, the Rooneys in Pittsburgh, let's keep in mind, they've had 2 head coaches in the last, 2 decades, 3 decades, and I think they've only had three
total.
In total. 3 head coaches.
Yeah, that's job security.
3.
Well, it's an ownership group that's committed to the person they bring in.
Correct.
And they've hit the nail on the head with the people that they brought in.
They have. The ownership is phenomenal. The fan base is phenomenal. The Steelers haven't won a playoff game, not because the roster needs to be overturned, but because they haven't found the QB. Because they've been in that QB purgatory for a long time. They need to go up and get one of those top QBs. I'm not saying necessarily this draft, but a draft coming up. They can't continue to run it back with the Aaron Rodgers and the retreads and things like that. They're gonna have to make a bold move. They're gonna have to sacrifice some draft capital to go up and get it. But that's not a job that is decimated. The culture's already there. You're stepping into a great culture and a great ownership group.
Great fan base, all of it.
All of it. So, just my 2 cents on that. And Cleveland's Cleveland. So, yeah, you get Myles Garrett and pretty good defense, but very little else.
Question number 4.
From the 636, do you think Robert Thomas being floated as trade bait is strictly the team is underperforming and he'd bring a big return, or is it more they need a change in mentality and that would send the biggest signal to the team that these results and effort are unacceptable? Or could it be just an intentional leak to fire up the team?
Maybe, Jamie, maybe it could be any one of those. Really, could be any one of those.
Who says he's being floated?
Oh, there's a lot of people out there.
Well,
there's a lot of people just saying his name.
I mean, JR talked about it yesterday.
That they're just saying his name. There's no confirmation from Doug Armstrong that he is currently shopping Robert Thomas. Do you want to know why?
Because he's not?
Because he's not actively shopping his name. Is he taking phone calls? Will he listen to somebody who calls?
Well, yeah, I think that's what
I know, but there's a huge difference. Floating a guy's name out there is basically sending the text to the GM text line that they have and saying, hey, I'm willing to listen on Robert Thomas. That's floating it out there. Saying, hey, everybody, my phone is on. Call me. We're looking to make changes. That's not floating Robert Thomas's name out there. Like, so that's why I get frustrated with a lot of these insiders and all of the, because they don't actually tell you the truth. They use specific wording and whatnot and hearsay. It's just frustrating.
Don't you think it's somewhat alarming, or like the alarm bells are sounding off, that the fact that he's even listening on Robert Thomas?
Well, you know, because that's his job.
Wayne Gretzky was traded. Mark Messier was traded. Paul Coffey was traded.
You have to.
Sergei Fedorov got moved.
Do you know why you have to? So you don't get in a situation where it's out of my cold, dead hands.
Well, there's some other players that are quote-unquote untouchables. Is he not one of them?
Who?
Robert Thomas.
Who would you consider to be untouchable right now in the Blues?
A lot of their younger players.
Like who?
Dvorsky.
Okay, yeah, so really young.
Holloway.
I don't even believe that to be true.
Okay.
You have to listen to any offer.
At this point, I think
that's your job.
I'm just.
You pick up the phone.
Going off what
if
people
somebody's
are saying,
hey, I want Robert Thomas, you tell them, can't have him. What's your offer? That is part of Doug Armstrong's job.
Yeah, like literally, that is his job. Say, look, I'm not, and especially if he wants leverage on some of these teams, I'd say I'm not really shopping him, but if you can wow him away from me, what do you got? But then guess what he has to do?
Convince Robert Thomas to accept the trade.
Will you waive your no trade to go to X, Y, or Z? And the only places Robert would probably go to are not in any position to offer what would be the right amount in return for him.
I'm just saying his name being floated out there means something.
That's what's going to happen. Every person in the media, every person on Twitter, they're going to look at the Blues roster and they're going to float out the names that could actually, like, ooh, he's a good player. Ooh, it's Robert Thomas. It was Jordan Kyrou before. Remember, he was as good as gone. He's still here. And Parayko, remember all the rumors about Parayko? He was gone. Like, Jordan Binnington, start of the season. Edmonton Oilers, guess what? Jordan Binnington's no movement clause that he has, limited, has the Edmonton Oilers on it. Would not go there. So people saying all this stuff is just like stuff.
There's somebody in the snake pit that said last year is, well, first they said they're in denial. I imagine, my guess is they're saying that we, Jamie and I, are in denial.
Of what?
Because then they followed up saying last year is widely said that Thomas was untouchable. Now it's his job to listen to offers.
I never said he was untouchable.
If you go back to last year, I floated it out that they should probably look at breaking some of this up. I mentioned Thomas specifically. I got roasted. Roasted. I've always said a part of a GM's job is to listen to offers. So I don't know if that was directed at me specifically, us as a whole, Carey.
Yeah.
But I can only speak for what I said. I said in the past, when things were going south, we had these same conversations a year ago, and then they turned it around. I got called a bunch of names, which is customary. It's fine. But I can only speak for myself on this. I've always said a GM's job is to listen to offers, period.
It is. You got to listen. And when teams aren't playing well, which I fully understand right now, the Blues are not good. The fan base gets angry. And then the fan base will gravitate towards any rumor that helps them move on from a player or two or to change the look of their team. They'll embrace that rumor as fact. And the fact right now is that Doug Armstrong's phone is on. If you can pry Robert Thompson away from him with a first rounder, a current rostered player, and another, he would maybe do it. But then the obstacle becomes the player's no trade clause. So it's not just as easy as clicking a button and hey, trade is over. We're done here. There's layers to it.
I think where I'm coming from is the question that was presented to us, the fact that his name is even floated out there because of where they're at. And you could say they're where they're at because him and a couple of other players, their top players, have not performed to the level that they have been expected to, that maybe there's some alarm bells within the locker room of, oh, wow, okay, I did not expect his name to be floated out there. Just saying. And they turned it around last year. So maybe it is like a motivating thing. Who knows? But I'm just saying this is new, though. This isn't a Jordan Kyrie, Jordan Bennington. This is Robert Thomas. You know, he's on trade boards now. Something that I did not expect heading into the season. That's all I'm saying.
All right. We do need a new Gauntlet contestant. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. If you want to play one of us in the Gauntlet, you have an opportunity. Just send in your name. And we'll do the Gauntlet next on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you need a new ride, whether it's pre-owned or brand new, Auto Center's Nissan is fantastic. And they got their 000 Advantage sales event. So right now, on select new Nissan models, 0 down payment, 0% APR for 60 months, and 0 payments until summer. They got a wide selection of vehicles. How wide? Over 1,000 new and used vehicles, all in one easy location out in Herculaneum, just minutes from South County and Jefferson County. Whatever you look at online at AutoCentersNissan.com, you can test drive the very next day at their dealership. I love Auto Centers Nissan. I love the fact that they got the wide selection. I love the fact that they got the 30-day return promise. If you're not completely sold within 30 days, you can bring it back for a full refund. Right now on select used vehicles, you can also qualify for 0 down and no payments for 3 months. And when you finance any new or used vehicle at Auto Centers Nissan, you're protected with Auto Centers walkaway finance protection. So 000, serious selection, real protection. You can shop now at AutoCentersNissan.com. When you head down Herculaneum, tell them Stalter sent you. It's Auto Centers Nissan.
warriors. 4 categories, 1 challenger. Can you survive the gauntlet?
Brought to you by Blue Note Roofing. Roofing, siding, and gutters. Visit BlueNoteRoofingSTL.com for a free inspection.
407, your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler with Andrew Marsh and Jamie Rivers. I'm Anthony Stalter, and we welcome in Brad to the program. Brad's going to compete in the Gauntlet today. What's up, Brad?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
We're doing great, man. Appreciate you listening to us. Thanks for playing today. You got 3 options. No Carey until tomorrow. Would you like to take on Marsh, Jamie, or me in round 1?
I'll take on Marsh.
Okay. Going to test to see if you're a good guy or not.
There we go.
Right?
Oh.
Absolutely.
All right, I like this. I like this a lot. All right, Brad, go ahead and tell Marsh to spin the wheel, and we'll kick him out. All right, here we go. Wheels are spinning. Marsh is heading out right now. Brad, what category are you hoping for?
I'm feeling either baseball or football.
Okay, he mentioned it, and the wheel said, go chase yourself.
Yeah, it said, give me that hockey.
Oh, okay.
Hockey, okay.
Yeah, right. Against Marshy.
He's pretty good, especially when it comes to dates and things like that. But you know what, Brad? I got a feeling about you. I got a good feeling about you today. So there's 4 hockey questions.
Dropping things everywhere.
Jamie's a mess. He was out partying last night with the
we did
the
stay out rather late. Oh,
I can see it. I can see it on his face. Brad, you're going to get 4 hockey questions today. Each one is worth 2 points unless you ask for the options. If you ask for the options, those questions are worth 1 point. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Question 1. Who won the Selke Trophy last season?
Options.
Sam Reinhart, Anze Kopitar, or Alexander Barkov?
Reinhardt, final answer.
All right. Question number 2. Alexander Barkov was selected 2nd overall in which year's NHL draft?
Options, please.
Was it 2013, 2014, or 2015?
Final answer.
Did you say 2015?
Yes.
Okay.
2015.
Thank you.
All right, question 3, Brad. Name the player that was selected 1st overall before Barkov in that draft.
Connor McDavid, final answer.
Final question. Which LA King currently leads the NHL with 4 shorthanded goals this season?
Options, please.
Is it Joel Armia, Adrian Kempe, or Warren Fogle?
Kempe, final answer.
All right.
All right, let's get Marsh in from the Cone of Silence. Brad, how you feeling?
Not great.
Okay. Well, appreciate your honesty. Find out how our guy Marsh is feeling today after being in that Cone of Silence. Marsh, how was it?
Oh, it was good. It was silent.
Okay, good. Got to focus.
Yeah.
Got your opportunity to focus.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Hockey today.
Oh, okay.
Pack a lunch, buddy.
All right.
Question 1. Who won the Selke Trophy last season?
Oh, the Selke. If I had to take a wild guess, I would say it was Alexander Barkov. So I'll go with him. Final answer.
Question 2. Alexander Barkov was selected 2nd overall in which year's NHL draft?
Oh, jeez. My gosh. 2013 comes to mind. I have no idea. Let's use the options.
Is it 2013, 2014, or 2015?
I said 2013. I got to go with my gut. First answer, 2013. Final answer.
Question number 3. Name the player that was selected first overall before Barkov in that draft.
Jeez, okay. Well, now I have to figure out who it was. Was it McDavid? Might have been McDavid. This is where I need to know which draft it was in order to get it right. I'll say Connor McDavid. Final answer.
All right. Final question. Which LA King currently leads the NHL with 4 shorthanded goals this season? That's very random compared to the other ones.
Wow. I have no clue. I'm leaning maybe Quentin Byfield. He's been in rumors. We were just talking about Robert Thomas. People throwing out there, maybe Quentin Byfield. I'll use the options.
Is it Joel Armia, Adrian Kempe, or Warren Fogle?
I feel like Warren Fogle would be a guy on the penalty kill, gritty player. I'll go with Fogle. Final answer. These are tough.
Yes, very tough.
Yeah.
All right, let's go over these. Which LA King currently leads the NHL with 4 shorthanded goals this season? We just heard Marsh take the options and then go with Warren Fogle. Brad also listened to the options and he sided with Adrian Kempe. Correct answer is
none other than Joel Armia.
We got a 0-0 tie. Name the player that was selected first overall before Barkov in that draft. The previous question connected with that. Marsh, without the option, said Connor McDavid. Brad, without the option, said Connor McDavid. Correct answer is?
Well, the options were Connor McDavid, Nail Yakupov, and Nathan McKinnon. But the answer is Nathan McKinnon.
Wow. We're still goose egg. Alexander Barkov was selected second overall in which year's draft?
That makes me feel a lot better about this question.
Marsh went with 2013. Brad went with 2015. Correct answer is
2013.
Marsh is on the board. He took the option, so he's got 1 point. Brad's still looking for his first. Will it come here? Final question on this, which happened to be the first question, Jamie. Who won the Selke Trophy last season? Marsh, without the options, went with Alexander Barkov. With the options, Brad went with Sam Reinhart. If it's Sam Reinhart, we get a tie and we get a walk-off.
Mm-hmm.
If it's Anze Kopitar or Alexander Barkov, with the 2 other options, Marsh going to win today. Jamie, correct answer is
Alexander Barkov.
Brad.
You have chosen poorly.
You lose.
Not today.
Brad, I know you didn't feel great about hockey, man. I'm sorry the wheel screwed you.
No worries. Not my best performance, but good game, Marsh.
Good game, Brad. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing.
Absolutely. Have a good one, you guys.
Good see you later, man.
Brad, good news. You're a good guy. We just it just came out. Just got the breaking news on that. So nice work.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one. That's Brad, listener Brad here. For those who don't know, Andrew Marsh typically only defeats great people in the Gauntlet. When he has lost, I would say about 90% of the time, news comes out that that person that wound up beating Marsh was jailed.
Complete scumbag.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's that. All right. Fastlane on 101 ESPN. At the bottom of the hour, we are going to air Chaim Bloom's press conference, I guess we'll call it. I'm assuming he's going to talk about Nolan Arenado, the trade. If you missed earlier today, Arenado traded to the Diamondbacks for a right-handed pitching prospect and some cashola. So there's that. Arenado will play. Actually, Arizona will have $5 million of Arenado's contract this year and $6 million next year. So obviously, the Cardinals had to eat some of Arenado's contract as well. Why don't we do a quick bet the board coming up next on 101 ESPN. When my wife, Kristen, and I needed a new vehicle a couple of years ago, we went to Auto Centers Nissan. I had seen everything that Auto Centers Nissan had to offer from a customer service standpoint, from a service standpoint. Yes, we do get her Pathfinder serviced at Auto Centers Nissan. But I enjoyed the entire experience. I love the fact, and we both did, that they had a wide selection. I know that Kristen had gone online and she's looking at AutoCentersNissan.com. She's looking at all the vehicles that they had to offer there, and we test drove a couple. And the nice thing was, when you go to AutoCentersNissan.com, you look at a couple of vehicles, you put them aside, you say, hey, I want to see this exact one. We were able to test drive those exact vehicles. You go to other dealerships, it's not always the case. It'll be like, it's at another lot, or we can get that, but it's going to be a couple of weeks. Not at Auto Centers Nissan. Highly recommend you check them out now. 0 down payments, 0% APR for 60 months, and 0 payments until summer. Part of their 000 Advantage sales event that's going on throughout the month of January. Over 1,000 new and used vehicles, all in one easy location. Every new Nissan also comes with a 30-day return promise, but if you're shopping used, some qualify. Some used vehicles qualify for 0 down and no payments for 3 months. And when you finance at Auto Centers Nissan, whether it's new or used, you're protected with Auto Centers walk-away finance protection. So shop online at AutoCentersNissan.com. When you head down to Herculaneum, tell them Stalter sent you. It's Auto Centers Nissan. Time to play Bet the Board here in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Andrew Marsh, Jamie Rivers, Anthony Stalter. Again, just a reminder that we will air the Chaim Bloom press conference coming up at the bottom of the hour. Marsh, how did we do last night?
We, except for Jamie, did not do well. We decided to put some player props out there for the Steelers. Did not work. Jamie elected to go with the red-hot Tampa Bay Lightning. It worked out for him. So Jamie's still in the lead. He has 5 points. Oh. Anthony, you have 3. Carey has 3. And I have 2.
All right. Give me that hockey.
Yeah.
Been going with money lines last couple of games. Not tonight.
Oh.
We're going with the first period over tonight. Well documented that the Ottawa Senators are having trouble at the goaltending position. Well documented that the Vancouver Canucks are giving up goals at a pretty good clip. Give me the over in the Vancouver Canucks at Ottawa Senators minus 145.
So it's over 1.5 first period.
Yes.
Got it. Marsh, am I up next?
Correct.
Well, I thought Jamie was going this route. So now that he did not, I'm going to go this route. Give me the Red Hot Lightning, minus 142 on the money line in Pittsburgh.
Back-to-back games. They got to travel.
Yeah.
I looked at it. Don't love it.
That's fine.
Don't love it.
It's not your pick.
Just talking about it. Sorry
it's
for talking.
It's not your pick, Jamie.
Usually you can talk to your friends. Clearly.
I don't like the way you're talking to me, though.
This is a discussion, man.
They have to travel. They're NHL players.
Trying to make you feel better about yourself, Anthony.
Actually, you weren't. You're trying to do the exact opposite.
I'm trying to help you.
Nah, I don't want your damn help.
Clearly. I don't want your help either, scumbag.
Marshy?
All right.
Carey sent us?
Yeah, so Carey's going with Steph Curry over 37.5 points, rebounds, assists. That's his pick. My pick, I'm trying to decide between Blues, Hurricanes over 1.5 in the first period. We're just going with the Hurricanes over 3.5 team total.
You're sick, Marsh.
I am sick. Why don't we just do the first period? Blues, Hurricanes over 1.5 in the first period. That is at minus 130.
All right. Good work, gentlemen. That's bet the board. Don't forget, we got Blues hockey tonight. Pre-game starting at 5:30 right here on 101 ESPN. They'll take on the Hurricanes. The puck will drop at 6:30. Nolan Arenado was dealt earlier today to the Arizona Diamondbacks in exchange for a right-handed pitching prospect. Cardinals will eat the majority of that contract, say for $5 million next season and $6 million the year after that. So we will hear from Chaim Bloom in about 5-6 minutes. Other big news in the sports realm today, following the loss to the Texans last night, Mike Tomlin has decided to end his 19-year run in Pittsburgh. He's stepping down, according to multiple sources, or multiple news outlets, including ESPN. Tomlin said in a statement that he decided to step down after much thought and reflection. He says, "This organization has been a huge part of my life for many years, and it has been an absolute honor to lead this team. I am deeply grateful to Art Rooney II and the late Ambassador Rooney for their trust and support. I am also thankful to the players who gave everything they had every day, and to the coaches and staff whose commitment and dedication made this journey so meaningful." Carey Davis texted us earlier today and said that it's a sad day for Pittsburgh. It's a sad day for Steeler Nation. So it's going to be interesting to see what Tomlin does. He's got 2 years remaining on his contract. He informed the Steelers players of his decision to walk away at their 2 p.m. meeting on Tuesday. All right, coming up next, we've got the Chaim Bloom press conference. We'll hear his thoughts after trading Nolan Arenado to Arizona earlier today. That's next on 101 ESPN.
Ice cold Zwickle Light from my friends over at Urban Chestnut. Man, it is an awesome beer. It's an elevated light beer that is brewed by St. Louisans for St. Louisans. And we know one thing here in St. Louis, it's what good beer tastes like. And that's what Zwickel Light is. It's a light lager with low calories. In fact, only 95 calories, 3.7 carbs, crisp, clean, refreshing. There are other beers that fall into this category, but they kind of taste watery or watered down. You'd like to know you're drinking a beer, and that's what Zwickel Light is. It still gives you those low calories, low carbs, but it gives you that great beer taste that you're looking for. I absolutely love it. They had cans, now they've added bottles, and both of them taste fantastic when they're iced up nice and good. You crack one open for the Blues game tonight, sit back, kick up your feet, maybe put the fireplace on. Ooh. Can't wait for my Zwickel Light. Cannot wait at all. Can't wait for you guys to pick it up either. Check out your local stores. They are selling Zwickel Light. I know Dirt Cheap is also selling Zwickel Light. So stop by any one of those locations and pick up the unofficial beer of St. Louis hockey from my friends over at Urban Chestnut. Keep it light and keep it local.
ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Big news of the day. Cardinals trade Nolan Arenado to Arizona. And we're going to hear from Chaim Bloom coming up next. Cardinals have a press conference. We will carry that. So stay tuned if you want to check out what Chaim Bloom has to say. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Momentarily, we will head to the Chaim Bloom press conference where he'll, I'm sure, announce the Nolan Arenado deal, the trade, and take some questions from reporters. So we will get to that here in a second. Just revisiting some of the Nolan Arenado trade discussion that we had earlier. Every move that Chaim Bloom has made since officially taking over for John Mozeliak has been in line. Everything has made sense.
Yep.
He has dealt the contracts that he wanted to get off the books, any sort of assets that he had that was tradable, that he could get something for, he's moved on from them. Donovan being the one that we anticipate will get dealt at some point very soon. What's the plan? We could see what the plan is with Chaim Bloom. It wasn't always clear under Mo. It always felt like he was just kind of kicking the can down the road, just adding pieces here and there. in order to, hey, we'll just run it back again. We'll run it back. Hey, maybe this will be a softer NL Central and we'll be fine. Not with Bloom. Bloom has gone into a full rebuild, and every move that he has made has backed that up, has supported it. So this is just the next step in the rebuild process. I'm sure this was somewhere among the top things that Bloom wanted to do. You didn't want to have a holdover here with Arenado. You probably didn't want to DFA him either, knowing he still has some value, clearly, to certain teams.
Yeah.
All right, so let's head to the Chaim Bloom press conference right here on 101 ESPN.
At relatively short notice. First off, as we announced earlier today, we've traded Nolan Arenado and cash considerations to the Arizona Diamondbacks for right-handed pitching prospect Jack Martinez. Just want to take a minute to thank Nolan, his family, and wish them all well. We got to have here in St. Louis for a half a decade and to appreciate, one of the best that's ever done what he does in the field and at the plate. He gave our amazing fan base so many wonderful things to appreciate over that time on both sides of the ball. He's someone who really appreciates this town as a baseball town at its best, who is a relentless competitor and someone who really wants to win. And we're appreciative of him as an organization. I personally appreciate a lot of the communication and getting to know him over the past couple of years. We believe, as I've said all offseason, that this is something that is the right fit for us and the right fit for him at this point to move on and part ways. But nonetheless, we're all really appreciative of everything that he did here, and we wish him well. And before taking your questions, I also will go a little old school here and just make an announcement that we'll follow this up with a press release confirming reports that are out there that we've signed right-handed reliever Ryan Stanek to a one-year major league contract with a club option for 2027. I'm very excited to add Ryan to our bullpen. I've talked a lot this offseason about having, not just talent down there, but also some been there, done that, someone who has the experience under their belt to be able to help out a younger bullpen, and the willingness to do so and the ability to connect with a lot of different types of people. I think Ryan brings all that, and we're also very excited about what we expect that he'll be able to do for us between the lines as well. So welcome Ryan Stanek to the Cardinals, and with that, I will open this up for your questions.
All right. Thanks, Chaim, for sharing that. And again, reminder, use the raise hand function. We'll call on you for your questions for Chaim. Looks like the first one I see is Jeff Jones, Belleville News Democrat.
Hey, Chaim, to what extent can you speak to the difference in the process between last winter to this winter, and what made it easier to get things done with Nolan this winter, and kind of how those two things played out, one compared to the other?
It's hard for me to speak to that well. I don't really want to, just because I was in a very different seat. I know talking to Nolan coming into this offseason, he I think was a bit more flexible in his own mind about where he was willing to go and on what circumstances, and that played out as we discussed it. But it's hard for me to compare. I just wasn't in the same seat last year. So I don't want to jump to conclusions. It'd probably be something that he could speak to better. But, going into the offseason, he was very clear-eyed, about the situation he was in and about the type of year he was coming off of and what that might mean, and also the types of things that he was open to at this point in his career.
Was this the first completed deal that you brought to him? Was this a situation where once you got one done, it was easy enough to kind of get it across the line?
There's some things about the whole process leading up to this that either way, I just wouldn't get into. I don't think that's fair to get into all that. But what I would say is, dating back to September when we talked that last weekend of the season in Chicago, there was ongoing communication and enough of a really good ongoing conversation that we were able to get to this, and it became clear as we were approaching this that this is something that he was going to be interested in. And, that, if and when we got it over the line, that it would be something that he would want to do.
Go to Derek Gould with the Post-Dispatch.
I'm building off of that and maybe somewhat and maybe you might have the same answer about how much you want to get into it, but could you take us through maybe the timing of this and how it developed here this past week and sort of then how it came to fruition?
Yeah, there's some things I could share about that. Like I said, as far as concerns, the conversations I had with Nolan, those were ongoing all the way dating back to the fall. Just knowing the situation, obviously, it was not a secret. I don't think it was a secret within the industry even before I stepped into this seat. And I wanted, as I try to be always, to be very open and honest about the situation. And so, did not make any secret of the fact that we were looking for a match in a trade, and that was something that fit Nolan as well. So, certainly that was reflected in the conversations that I and other members of our front office had with other clubs. All that being said, this particular scenario really picked up a lot of steam relatively quickly and only in recent days. We had conversations here and there, with Arizona about this at points to where you knew he was on their board, so to speak, to some level, but it didn't really escalate until very, very recently.
And then if I could permit a follow-up here real quick, and I may come up with a question later, just fair warning, but could you take us through how you weighed the financial cost of this trade to having him back, and sort of how you looked at those two things?
Yeah, I can try to address that. I mean, again, I think the situation and all aspects of the situation, and there's no hard feelings about it. I think it's just where everybody was. To us and to Nolan, the situation just was, really pointed towards a fresh start, a fresh start for him, and just moving forward for us. So knowing that was the best outcome, you obviously then had to factor in different things around potential trades, the financial parameters, et cetera, the return. There obviously recognizing there's a lot of different things that go into play. When you have a situation like this, where Nolan is also a party at the table, with full control over where he goes, you're really just looking for the match first and foremost. At the same time, my job is obviously to represent the interests of the Cardinals too, and make sure that the deal is something that we feel is in our interest and that we can justify. And certainly, whatever financial flexibility comes out of it is a part of that. So it's all part of the calculus there. At the same time, you don't want to get too picky and too cute with these things, because otherwise in a situation like this, you're just not going to end up with a deal if you do that. And, that obviously wasn't going to serve anybody's interests.
Okay. John Denton, MLB.com.
I apologize for my camera not working, new laptop. Can you just talk about the gravity of trading a guy? You've said he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer someday. You had to do that in Boston. You're having to do it now, and just what it says about, the rebuild and how you're diving headlong into this.
Well, I'd like to think, and selfishly will hope and pray, that those two situations age a little bit differently. But yeah, you're right. It's not something you ever take lightly. There's not that many people in the Hall of Fame, and to talk about him as I have, and as I believe that he will be one of them someday, regardless of where he's at in his career, where we are, that's not something you take lightly. It's baseball royalty right there. So we're mindful of that. At the same time, a lot of what comes with this chair is not to let emotion and sentiment and nostalgia even override executing on what's best for this team and being fully committed to where we need to go. I've talked a lot this offseason about if we are committed to this, the more we commit to it, the quicker we will get there, and the better we'll be when we do. And to me, this falls into that category. So it's something that you can't not be mindful of it, but I can't dwell on it, and we can't think too much about it, as long as we also think that what we're doing is the right thing for the organization.
Thank you.
Lynn Worthy with the Post-Dispatch.
Hi, Chaim. Actually, I wanted to follow up along those lines of what John asked, and you alluded to it. I was curious how differently from your seat it feels to be sort of in a position where you're executing trades, where you're sort of moving veteran players along, because and how differently that is than the last time you were in a similar position where you had to do that, considering the trajectory of the franchise here in St. Louis at this time.
Yeah. You know, I don't want to get too much into comparing situations, but just I think it's easier just to speak to what it feels like right now. You know, I think first and foremost, to be doing it the way we're doing it, the number of these that we've done so far, you're only doing something like this if you're in a position as an organization where you're not where you want to be. And so, you know, that's not why any of us do this, and that's not where any of us want to be. So, you know, as an indicator of where we are, you know, it obviously, you know, is a sobering thought in terms of the ground we need to cover and the distance between where we are and where we want to get. It's motivating in that regard to make sure that we get this on a track to where that's not the type of business we're doing. There's always going to be tough choices. You know, there are teams that even when they're competing for World Series, they might move veterans occasionally. They might go target prospects occasionally. That's what good organizations do. But to be doing it at scale like this is obviously indicative of us being in a position that, you know, we hope to get out of sooner rather than later. At the same time, I think it's been energizing for our group, and I hope it's been energizing for a lot of our staff just to know that, you know, we are able to kind of reboot this around a group that's hungry and a group that has a chance to come together and form its own identity. It puts a lot on us as an organization, as a staff, to make sure we're doing what we can, you know, to tend that garden and make sure that group comes together the way that it can and the way that we believe that it will. And it's exciting to be able to hunt down talent that we think can be here for a while and can be a part of this. You know, sometimes when you talk about trading veterans, it's sort of talked about as kind of, obviously you talk about, you know, selling pieces, whatever lingo you want to use. We also view it as hunting potential core players for the St. Louis Cardinals, hunting players who can be a part of celebrations and dog piles out of there, and that have a lot of that their best is in front of them, and they have a lot of runway left to get there. And then we have the challenge then of both finding that talent and then doing everything we can to bring the best out of those guys so that they reach that ceiling. That's exciting. That's motivating. At the same time, we recognize we got a ways to go in this journey. You know, it's part of the challenge. It's part of what makes this fun, that we get a chance to get up every day and take another step closer to that. And we know that the rewards are worth it, and that motivates us to get after it while we're doing this. You know, I can go back to stuff I've talked about earlier in the offseason about the urgency with which we have got to undertake this project, even if aspects of it are longer term. That's what I mean by this, is that work that goes in this every day to make the right moves, to find the right players, to do the right things, to develop them, to help our staff come together and create that right environment and push these players to where they can get. That gives me a lot of energy. I know it gives our group a lot of energy, and that's a big part of what motivates us as an organization every day.
And if I could just, one last one was, obviously there's still off season and things that could happen, but I just wondered how you would sort of describe your outlook at second base and third base now following this move. Thank you.
Yeah, as you mentioned, still a lot of offseason left, and just the way that this offseason has gone, you know, not even for us necessarily, but even across the industry, there's still a lot of unfinished business, even though we are now in mid-January. You know, this is an area part of why I think baseball-wise, outside of the particulars of the situation with Nolan, why I think baseball-wise, this is a move that makes sense for us, is because we do have a lot of players on this club and in this organization who can help us. Outside of players who have already played prominent and starting roles, obviously Mason and Brendan, but you know, we've been talking for a long time now about wanting to get opportunity for, you know, consistent opportunity for guys like Gorman. Didn't have the year last year that we were hoping. Obviously, there were times when the opportunity was inconsistent, but there were also, you know, some of that's also on him, obviously, and he knows that. This potentially opens up more opportunity for him, for a young player like a Sajasi, who has shown flashes of being able to contribute to a winning team. You know, this may potentially open up some more lanes for him. And then obviously that's without touching on JJ and other players in the organization. that can help us both short term and long term. So we do feel like we have really good internal options there and really interesting internal options. And that is also part of why this made sense to us outside of, like I said, the particulars with Nolan.
Daniel Guerrero with the Post-Dispatch.
Hi, I'm just having added another pitching prospect in sort of the deals you guys have made this winter. How would you assess just kind of where you guys are at in that group down at the minor league level and just kind of what that outlook for the pitching pipeline looks like for you guys?
Yeah, I think it continues to improve, not just because of the acquisitions through trades, but also because of the work that our group is doing in the draft. And then obviously things that are happening in development that are helping to get more out of these guys. We saw a lot of guys take steps forward last year who were already in the system, whether in terms of their stuff or in terms of being able to use it. You know, you'd love to be in a situation. I think every organization aspires to this. You know, they give us 165 spots domestically during the season. You'd love to be able to be in a situation where you could look at every one of those spots and see a potential big leaguer. That's a high bar. But as long as we have all those spots, that's how we're going to try to use them. And moreover, you want to have both, like I said, a talent identification process and also a development process that can see that big leaguer in anybody who is good enough to walk in that door and get it out of them. So to keep adding talent along those lines, that's great. And, you know, we know to some degree we're playing a numbers game there where there's different things that's going to happen. Not all of them are going to hit their ceiling, but the more talent we can bring in with that ceiling, with different paths to it, the greater our chance of getting a lot of these guys pitching for us at Busch Stadium, whether it's next year or whether it's long into the future.
Thank you.
Jeff, do you have another question? Jeff Jones?
Yes, please. Chaim, I think Lynn got into some of this, and forgive the kind of back of napkin math here, but I believe now with today's deal, the amount of cash that you all are laying out in covered salaries this season is larger, I think, than any team in the last 5 or 6 years, other than the year the Mets had to cover Verlander and Scherzer. What was kind of the discussion with ownership like about the necessity of doing that and kind of the return on that? And what does it tell you all from a baseball operations perspective that that's a place that you're willing to go to get the roster where you all need it to be?
Yeah, I'm grateful for the fact that the conversations with ownership, while everybody recognizes the gravity of that, you know, especially for an organization that is not playing in an enormous market and not sitting on, you know, one of the biggest revenues in baseball, certainly. But I'm grateful that that has not been front and center in the conversations. My conversations with ownership have been very focused on getting deals done and amassing young talent. And that's the focus we've taken. Certainly, you know, I've said it in the context of other deals. You never want to send money out the door that you could be spending on your own organization. But if, when you net everything out, it gets you to the best deal, it gets you to the best spot as an organization, then rationally it's something you should be willing to do. And I think everybody's been really clear-eyed and really supportive with respect to that.
Okay, Derek, back to you. Derek Gould.
Yeah, thank you. Chaim, you mentioned this with Stanek and the kind of the need for, or the want for, I guess, experience in the bullpen. I'm wondering how that applies to position players. Currently, you have a lineup where you don't have anybody with more than 4 years of service time, or if they are, they barely do. Do you see the same thing applying to the lineup, or is there something about having the young guys go together?
You know, I think for the most part, and this is true on the pitching side too, we are going to be a younger team this year. I think that's a good thing given where we are. And you could argue it's a good thing in almost any situation because usually young players have more room to improve. And like I said, their best days tend to be ahead of them, and that's exciting. I do think having some experience in that position player side, having both for the talent it could provide and in the leadership would be helpful. I'm hopeful that we line up on something at some point this offseason to add that, knowing that we have moved a lot of that off of our club. It would be nice to add some of it back. Don't know yet what exactly that's going to look like, but I'd like to think that it's something that we'll be able to do between now and when we get to camp.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I don't see any hands at the moment. If not, we will let you all go. And thank you, Chaim, for taking the time to join us this afternoon. Oh, there we go. John, you got one? Denton?
Yes, Rob, I just wanted to ask, what did you like about Stanek? What appealed to you with him? Obviously, he brings swing and miss, 98-mile-an-hour fastball. What appealed to you specifically with Stanek?
Well, you said it. I mean, this guy for a long time has pitched with really top end stuff, not just velocity, but what he can do with his arsenal in terms of off speed pitches. He's pitching real big spots. He's got plenty of experience. He's had a lot of ups and downs that he's learned from, that other people can benefit from. Obviously, I have some history with him, but that was a while ago. He was a relatively young pitcher. He was actually at the point in his career that we talk about with some of these younger players, trying to establish himself as you know, with the whole opener situation, pitching in some unique roles to do it. Since then he's been in a number of different places. He's dealt with different ups and downs, and he has learned some things and also pitched in some big spots, won a World Series, has a lot of different things on his resume and a lot of willingness to share the benefit of that with other people. But, first and foremost, he's someone that has the stuff to get outs late in game. He's done it. We feel there's some things, obviously the results weren't what he wanted last year, but we feel there's some things under the hood that would indicate that he's due for better this year, whether it was, just the bounces of the ball and some good and bad fortune at times, and even a couple of things that we've discussed with him about the why that happened. It really stands out when you're going through a process with a player like that, a veteran player, and you get into the why. You can ask questions. What was your take on last year? What was your take on the different places you've been and what you've pulled out of each of them? It stands out, especially as someone who knew him pretty well a lot earlier in his career. The benefit of those experiences you see, and the way that a veteran pitcher speaks to some of the ups and downs, what he takes out of it, how he looks to apply those in the coming year. We've seen the benefits of that to other members of the bullpen in the past, and obviously also there's a lot of reason to believe that he's going to be able to go out there and do really well in whatever role he ends up in out there.
Chaim Bloom, the president of baseball operations for the Cardinals, covered a lot of ground there. Started off with Arenado, and then it went to various topics, including who could play third base this season. And by the way, he said, I thought this was interesting. He said, well, there's a lot of offseason left still. So clearly they're not set on one player, and they shouldn't be. They don't have to be. And who knows, maybe they do bring in a veteran for that spot. I don't see it. They've got internal options already, whether it be Thomas Ajacci, J.J. Weatherholtz, or Nolan Gorman. But again, he's left it open. One big thing, though, the man, I mean, he's a breath of fresh air. I love the way he speaks to the assembled media and to us being the fans. We're the stakeholders, essentially, for the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. Paying customers are the stakeholders. So great stuff by Bloom there. I'm sure we'll chop that up and talk about various things that he said throughout the course of the week. Why don't we do a very quick light the lamp as we preview this Blues-Hurricanes game next on 101 ESPN.
And a couple of guys can really shoot the puck.
Shoot! I must confess you scored first.
Well, who was the first person?
Breakaway! Shoot! Score! We got hockey to learn.
Blues Hurricanes pregame 5:30 on 101 ESPN. Puck drop at 6:30 on the Blues Radio Network. Time to light the lamp. This is where we try to predict who's going to score a goal for the Blues. And we do this every game that we're on air for. And I believe Marsh, Carey Davis still leading.
Yeah, he still leads 13 points. Jamie with 10. I have 6. Anthony, you have 3. Jamie could have added points. Jake Neighbors finally scored a goal. Just not on a day that we play this game.
He's done that to me twice now.
Yeah.
That son of a... So, Carey texted in, I believe.
Did he?
Yeah. He's got a hunch on Joel Hofer getting one tonight.
Oh, okay. Is he in net?
Yeah, he's starting.
All right.
No. Let's not do that to him. What do you think, boys? Matthew Kessel?
Sure.
Yep.
Give him Kessel.
Sounds good to me.
Give him that Kessel. Give me Jake Neighbors. This is my ride or die at this point.
It's not bad. I mean, really, it's not a bad idea. I did that with Wilson Contreras. It's wound up how I caught you because he got on a hot streak. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. Who's even in the lineup these days?
Nobody knows.
Storyline. There's a storyline for you, Marshy. If you really look at the lineup, there's a storyline.
Carolina. Oh, Justin Falk.
No, well, that's one of them. There's another one.
Give me Justin Falk.
Nick Bukestad's first game back.
I don't really care about this.
What are you talking about?
Anthony, who do you have?
The buggy's back, baby.
Yeah, why don't you give me Otto Stenberg?
I like that one, too.
Otto Stenberg.
Kid's playing well, man.
For 5 points. Let's do that. All right. It's fast. I know what Waterboy goes. Wilson doesn't play hockey, Anthony.
Well, we don't know.
He might.
He might.
He would be. I think if he could skate, he'd probably be a pretty good player.
He's a pretty stocky dude.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He'd go to the net.
Yeah. All right. Is there any lesson to be learned from the Nolan Arenado quote unquote era? That's next on 101 ESPN.
Circus Sports now available here in the state of Missouri. It's really easy to find. That old logo that we used before, not that one anymore. Get to the App Store, go to the Google Play Store, punch in Circus Sports and get the white logo. Click on that. That's the one that's used for here in Missouri. And then you're on your way. You're going. You can bet on hockey, basketball, football. I mean, you name it. Whatever's out there is available on the Circus Sports app. Tonight in the NHL, I do like a few money lines. Columbus Blue Jackets, new head coach tonight, Rick Bowness, making his first appearance behind the bench. They've got the Calgary Flames visiting. They are minus 142 on the money line. I'd go with the Blue Jackets on that one. And Anthony had one earlier today. I liked it, but was concerned about the back-to-back. Tampa Bay Lightning at the Pittsburgh Penguins. I do think the Lightning win, and at minus 142, pretty good odds there. And you'll always find the best odds over at Circus Sports as well. And along that line, you've got great lines on futures bets, and you've got big payouts with high betting limits as well. Circus Sports is the best app out there on the market, so please don't miss out on any of the action. Download that app, bet like a pro today, and join in on all the excitement. Must be 21 or older. For problems gambling, call the Problem Gamblers Hotline at 1-800-522-4700.
7, your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. What lesson, if any, is there to be learned from the Arenado era? You know, Marsh, for me, and I know you're the one that kind of posed this question. For me, it's if you go all in on offense, like the Cardinals seemingly did when they acquired. First, it was Goldschmidt, then it was Ozuna, then, eventually it was Arenado to pair with Goldschmidt. If you go all in on offense and you don't have the pitching or the method to add pitching, whether that is spending big like the Dodgers do or spending more than what the DeWitts were comfortable with, or drafting and developing pitching like the Cardinals used to do, you're going to be disappointed. I don't think you can go all in on offense like the Cardinals did after they lost the 2019 NLCS to the Nationals and have the results be what you want. I just don't. You get into these short series like the Cardinals did against the Phillies, and they can line up Nola and Wheeler. You're screwed. That, I think, is the biggest lesson here. It wasn't that they acquired Goldschmidt and Arenado, and that was a mistake. Clearly, it wasn't. Goldschmidt won an MVP here. Arenado was in that was finished top 3 that same year. It was the fact that they stopped. And I think a lot of teams, Jamie, get into this, whether it's the NHL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, the NFL. There are certain teams that they see some success. They make one move and say, boom, done. We're good. We found the missing piece.
Yeah.
No, it's a team. And I think those teams that are skilled at looking 2 years, 3 years down the road say, okay, at this point, this contract is going to either expire or this player's not going to be worth what we're paying him. What do we have next in the pipeline? And I think the Cardinals were very good at that at one time.
At one time,
they were ahead of the curve. But clearly the league passed them by. They didn't make any adjustments. And Mo, I'm convinced, said, to hell with the pitching. We'll figure out the pitching later. I'm tired of looking at a patchwork offense. And so were the fans. And when they pivoted more toward high-end bats, things went off the rails. You still didn't really have the offense. That's the ironic part.
No, you're right. They screwed that up, too. They lost their way. I don't ever think, like to your point to start the entire segment, I don't think it's ever in the best interest of any team to be full on in one direction. Like, you can see a theme here with Doug Armstrong over the last year where he's really stocked up the cupboard on the defensive side. He traded for Cam Fowler. He got Philip Broberg. A year of checks in the pipe. He's got Lynn Steitler. He's drafting defensemen because he knows that aging defensemen, namely Justin Falk, he won't be here forever. Cam Fowler won't be here forever. Colton Parayko, who knows? Like to see him retire a blue, but maybe he won't be here forever. You've got to continuously replenish. But he's also added forwards, too. And now the goaltending, he had Colton Ellis, that was a great young goaltender. He got scooped up by Buffalo, but now you've got the young Swedish kid who stood on his head at the World Junior Championship. So the idea, and I'm just using Army as an example, could be any general manager around the league just doing it what I think is the right way. Now, you don't always nail it with the players that you pick or the ones that you decide you're going to develop, but the thought process has to be the right kind of process. If you have the right process, odds are at least your team won't stink. It's when you go all in on a certain style of play, a certain type of player, or a certain area of the game, that if you miss, you're screwed.
Yeah. There's no safety net.
There's nothing.
We went all in on this. All right, great. What's plan B? We got no plan B.
Yeah, like the Oilers, they went all in on scoring for the longest time.
Right.
And they get some of the most dynamic offensive players in the league. And at one point, they had lots of them. Couldn't stop the puck in between the pipes and couldn't defend.
Right.
So then they had to go out and get defensemen. And now they still don't have the goalie. They screwed it up. And imagine that. They've screwed it up and they've been in the Stanley Cup final 2 years in a row.
Steelers have been a big topic of conversation today. They spend more on their defense than any team in the National Football League. They got a defensive-minded head coach. Ironically, he went to, I think William and Mary, Mike Tomlin, who's not the former Steelers coach.
He used to have a coach.
He
He's
was
long gone, Anthony.
Yeah. But they sold out on defense, and they kept kicking the can down the road, trying to do the patchwork offense thing. They would make the playoffs, and predictably they would lose in the first round, and there just wasn't that counter punch. Mike Tomlin didn't want to invest on offense, clearly, save for DK Metcalf this past year, which didn't put him over the top. Again, all this is kind of predictable.
That was a weird move for me.
He's a hell of a coach, too. Hell of a coach. Clearly took a roster that was okay and turned it into a division winner, hosted a playoff game last night, and predictably got stomped, despite the fact that the Texans turned the ball over, I think, 14 times.
C.J. Stroud had money on the Steelers.
No, he didn't.
Allegedly.
No, he didn't.
Is that how we do it?
You stop it.
Is that how we do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how it works. All right. It's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. When we return, what we learned, 3 stars of the day. We'll recap some of the other hot sports stories today. That's all next on 101 ESPN.
.101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Nolan Arenado traded to the Arizona Diamondbacks. We talked a lot about that today. We even held Chaim Bloom's press conference right here on 101 ESPN. If you missed that or if you missed anything from today's show, including our interview with Brad Thompson, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the free Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's 101 ESPN mobile app. Just head to the podcast page and you'll catch all of our interviews and all of our shows there, including that press conference. It's all brought to you by the Schaefer Door Company. We are off early today, 5:30 pregame for Blues and Hurricanes. Puck drop will be at 6:30, so we will wrap up the show next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Anything from today's show, you can always download the podcast, available at 101ESPN.com or via the Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's 101 ESPN mobile app. All the podcasts brought to you by Schaefer Door Company. Time to find out what everybody learned today. Jamie, what'd you learn today?
I learned that not only is nobody safe in the fast lane, but nobody's safe in the NFL. I mean, not just today, but over the course of the last week. When you've got names like John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin that are kicked to the curb, or sorry, he walked away, wink, wink, from the Steelers. When you see that happening, I mean, it's pretty wild.
You know, it's kind of funny. I don't know why it didn't hit me until you just said this, but imagine being a Steelers fan, or a Ravens fan for that matter, and you're constantly bitching about your head coach. So John Harbaugh loses to the Steelers because of the last second field goal there. And immediately Ravens fans are like, fire him, I'm so sick of this, I'm done with this. But same thing with the Steelers last night. You got Steelers fans, this is it, I've been saying they should have let go of him. And then it actually happens. Right? And you're like, yes! Fresh blood, here we go. Who do we got? Oh, God.
Arthur Smith, baby.
You haven't done this in a while. As a Falcon fan who's done this a lot, it's not always great.
Grass ain't always greener.
No, sir.
On the other side.
Not saying that they won't figure it out with Harbaugh, or I'm sorry, with the Ravens and Steelers. I know what they're doing, but I don't know. It's kind of dawned on me. Marsh, what'd you learn?
Well, Jamie said no job is safe in the NFL. No lead is safe, especially if you're the Rizzuto show. Congratulations to us. Pick'em Challenge winners. Once again, we found that out earlier today.
Is he wrong? Is Marsh wrong when he says that?
He's not. He is not wrong at all.
The thing that I learned today is it really doesn't matter what we say about the Blues. You're ticked off and you want everybody traded. So I guess anytime we bring up the Blues, I'll just mention trade everybody.
I think it's just going to be an angry fan base the rest of the year.
I think you're right, Jamie.
And I get it.
I'm not saying you're not supposed to be
either. Not. But there's only so much you actually can do about it.
That's the problem. And you can be mad at Jamie all you want, but
I'm not the NHL, I'm not the rule book, and I didn't sign those contracts.
You're not mad at me. You're mad at
Jamie.
Oh yeah, Jamie. Yeah, I know. Jamie's part of the organization.
No,
Yes,
I'm
he
not.
is.
Really not, actually.
Well,
I don't ever get one penny from the organization. Not one. Not one. Wish I did. Be nice. Take it. They want to pay me, I'm here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Marshy, would you like to go to any criticisms and compliments, or would you like to go straight to 3 stars? Choice is yours.
Wow. Why don't we do the 3 stars, and then maybe if we get some criticisms and or compliments, we can throw those out there as well.
Sounds good.
3 stars.
It's time for the Fast Lane's 3 Stars of the Day, presented by Circus Sports. No bet fees ever with the world's largest sports book, now at your fingertips in Illinois and Missouri.
Well, our 3 stars today have a bit of a theme, and I'm sure you'll pick up on it once I get into them. Our 3rd star of the day goes out to Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, all right.
Aaron Rodgers.
Anthony has a hard time clapping for that, but it's your boy.
2nd star of the day, Mike Tomlin.
Oh,
and our 1st star of the day, perhaps for the final time, if we want to say it together, we shall do it in 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
Nolan Arenado! Well done. Best of luck, Nolan, as you head to Arizona. And best of luck to our Cardinals as we look to rebuild. Should be fun.
Will it be?
Probably not.
It might be fine.
It might be.
If you go into the season with the expectations of this is going to be really bad, but I want to see these young guys play, I think you'll be fine. You won't be disappointed.
Very true. Really, all of our disappointment and, just heartache and things like that really are just failed expectations.
Yes.
Expectations we had didn't come true, and now we're butthurt about it.
Yeah. Still talking about the Cardinals?
I don't know now. I kind of
like it could
just
be.
reached out to anything.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the Blues.
Marshy hates the Blues. He's mad.
He's just upset. He's
mad.
a ticked off fan.
You know what? You might be on to something,
He's
Jamie.
mad.
You might be on to something. We got to watch this team every time they play, and I'm going to go home. Get off early, too. You know, I could do whatever I want with my time. I'm going to watch that Blues game.
Yeah, you are.
How long until you're mad at the game?
Oh, man. Depends on how long it takes for them to get the puck out of the defensive zone.
Do you still get mad, or you're just like,
oh, no, Marshy gets mad.
I genuinely get angry because it's like, what are we doing, man? Like, what are we doing?
What is playing hockey?
Do you walk away from the game saying, I've had enough, and then go back to it?
No, I'll just complain the entire 2.5 hours, and then once the game's over, like, I'll just,
Are you exhausted
do something else
after the game?
No, it's actually a relief. It's a relief once
Does
the game's
Rachel
over.
watch it with you?
No.
Okay.
No.
I just wondered how long she would enjoy that.
Oh, how's Rachel doing, by the way?
Oh, yeah. Well, I told her.
Her Eagles lost on Sunday.
I told her.
Did I miss something?
Oh, yeah, her Eagles lost.
What's wrong with her?
I told her they were going to lose in the playoffs.
Yeah, so.
You did that, huh?
Last year.
I let her know that she's
Finally
welcome. She's welcome to the off season. I said, welcome to the off season. We got snacks. Wow. We have beverages. It's a good time over here. I'm used to it.
It's a good time until the draft is over.
You get used to it. You get used to it.
Yeah.
What's her team now, though? Everybody kind of has a sentimental favorite.
Well, she said, you know what? She actually said, because I told her, hey, let's root for the Josh Allens. We like Josh Allen. Mm-hmm. And she said, okay, well, once they're eliminated, we're done watching football the rest of the year, right? I go, no, that's not how it works. That's not how it works.
I don't think so.
I said, well, that man's just going to have to get to the Super Bowl then.
Yep. Nope. Not how it works.
Now Marshy's going to be mad watching Bills games.
I feel like everybody's hopping on that Josh Allen bandwagon.
How can you not root for him?
It's hard not to.
I'm not a big Bills fan.
I'm not either.
But I can't either. But I'd like to see one of the game's best quarterbacks of this era.
For sure.
I'd like to see him win.
You're not wrong.
We don't want to see Bo Nix in this.
I'm not really interested in any of these teams. It stinks.
The Patriots are in, man. Come on.
I don't know if I can do that. 28-3 thing. See ya.